There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Hey, Slee, you want to come up and join me for non-believers Bible study? We're in Leviticus, you guys. We're in Leviticus. Let's turn to... We're towards the end. I know that. Because we're in... Oh, I think I said that we would be in Numbers next, right? All right, so... The end of Leviticus. We are in chapter 24. Yeah, I have Matthew on tomorrow. I'm so excited about that. You can come up and sit while you're working. That's fine. It just makes me feel not so lonely, you know? Hey, Matthew, how are you? Matthew, you can come up too. We're in Leviticus chapter 24 today. If you're friendly and you want to come up and hang out and talk to me about the Bible this morning, you're more than welcome to.
Good morning. Well, is it morning for you? It's afternoon here.
No, it's 11, so I don't know. Is that morning? I don't know.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. All right, you guys keep tapping the screen, sharing out the live, doing all the good things. You don't have time right now? Okay. I can't wait for tomorrow, though, Matthew. I hope a lot of people join us and get to... It's funny to me that there are people who still don't know who you are in this community. And I'm like, man, he's been around longer than me, I think. So I'm excited to hopefully showcase just who you are. All right. I see Islam has joined us this morning. I muted him in Joel's live one night because he wouldn't go up.
Oh, no. Come to Islam and have endless life after death. No, thank you.
No, thank you. I'm not into I don't know, a religion that thinks their prophet should be with a little girl.
Yeah, gross. It sounds exhausting. Endless life? No, thanks.
Yeah, no.
Let me be done with it at some point.
I'm gonna start reading chapter 24. If you have questions along the way, Shley, let me know. If you have questions in chat, let me know. I have my iPad with me this morning, and it's ready to go. Sometimes I don't have my iPad. And it's ready to go, so I can put in questions for us if we want to know something about the original Hebrew or anything. Do you guys know pretending is so much fun? You can even make up words for people who don't pretend with you. Yeah, it's true. Pretending is fun. Pretending is very fun. All right, here we go, you guys. Chapter 24. The lamp is what it says. We're going to read something about a lamp. Okay. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the people of Israel to bring you pure oil of beaten olives for the lamp, that a light may be kept burning regularly. Aaron shall set it up in the tent of meeting outside the curtain of the covenant to burn from evening to morning before the Lord regularly. It shall be a statute forever throughout our generations. He shall set up the lamps on the lampstand of pure gold before the Lord regularly. Why does God need a perpetual lamp? Why does he need it made of gold? And is it still burning somewhere? Because it says, like, for all generations. Like, these are my questions. So let's find out. Why did God want a perpetual lamp? All right, here's what we're pulling at. And yes, I use ChatGPT for this because if we need more information, we'll just go look at the Torah, the Tanakh. Be Up Enterprises. Are you a believer, a non-believer? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with you. I usually only bring up people I know on non-believers Bible study day. Let me know in the comments. Okay. God commands Moses that the Israelites should bring pure oil for the lampstand, so that the lamp in the tent of meeting burns continually from evening to morning before the Lord. Why the perpetual lamp? Okay, I'm not bringing up believers. This is a non-believer Bible study, so thank you. The ever-burning light symbolized that God's presence with Israel never went out. It was a visible reminder that their covenant relationship was ongoing. The lamp was in the holy place outside the veil of the most holy place. Keeping it burning underscored the holiness of the space and the constant access to God through the priest. In the ancient world, light was strongly associated with guidance and life. The perpetual flame signifies that God's wisdom and direction were always available. It was also a way of keeping the priests in continual servants and remembrance. Their work symbolized maintaining the relationship between God and Israel. Later Jewish tradition calls this the Ner Tamid, eternal light, and synagogues often still have a perpetual lamp above the ark that holds the Torah scrolls, carrying forward the symbolism. So, okay. Seems like this God is very extra. That's what I get when I read all this stuff. I need a gold lamp. It needs to burn continually so that you don't forget that we have a covenant that I made you take because you didn't really have a choice in it. I just want to remind you. Okay? You shall take the choice flour and bake 12 loaves of it. 2/10 of an ephah shall be in each loaf. You shall place them in 2 rows, 6 in a row on the table of pure gold. You shall put pure frankincense with each row to be a token offering for the bread. As an offering by fire to the Lord, every Sabbath day Aaron shall set them in order before the Lord regularly, I don't know why I can't say that word the first time, as a commitment of the people of Israel, as a covenant forever. They shall be for Aaron and his descendants, who shall eat them in a holy place, for they are most holy portions for him from the offerings by fire to the Lord, a perpetual due. You know, I think it's really interesting that Joel lately has been like really emphasizing that we don't really know what holy means. Like, it's just really like not a good definition for holy, you know? Let's see what the Bible said. Holy comes from the word kadosh and Greek hagios. At its core, it means set apart, sacred, or belonging to the divine. Something is holy if it is dedicated to God. People are called holy when they're set apart for God's purposes. Aren't we all supposed to have doesn't everything work according to God's purpose for those who are called according to his glory? Like, so isn't everything then holy? Like, I don't know. I think holy is a dumb word. I just think it's stupid. If we're all a part of some greater plan, then we've all been set apart for the greater plan, and therefore we are all holy, and therefore the word just loses meaning in my book. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Buddy.
Good to see you.
It's a made-up word from a made-up standard that is unattainable, that we'll never be able to reach. So it's going to keep us in our insecurity of how we're just so powerless and whatever. It's just bullshit.
I'm gonna move my light. Hang on one second. Let's see if this works. I don't know. That's not gonna work. Never mind. You're going back where you were.
Randy says his socks are holy, and to that I say, okay, Randy.
That's okay. You can darn socks. Money-minded, I don't know you. I only bring up people I know on non-believers Bible study. If you are a non-believer and you want to come up, let me know in the comments. But I don't bring up believers on Bible study day. Okay. Any questions or comments on the whole bread for the tabernacle portion? 24 verses 5 through 8 and 9. Let's see what rabbis have to say about this part. Yeah, money-minded, I don't know you. I'm not going to bring you up. I don't know you. Does anybody know money-minded in chat? Is there a reason I should be bringing them up? I've never heard of them before. Okay. Symbolism of the bread. Constant presence. The Hebrew term lehem ha-panim literally means bread of the face. And I don't know if I pronounced that right, okay? So I'm just doing the best I can. The bread before the face presence of God. Rabbis taught it symbolized God's constant presence with Israel and his provision for them. Each loaf represented one tribe of Israel. Keeping them before God every week was a way of continually dedicating the whole nation to him. Talmud, Menachat 96b through 97a, rabbis taught that bread miraculously stayed warm and fresh all week until it was eaten by the priests on the Sabbath. That's a weird thing to believe, that they baked the bread and all week it stayed fresh and warm. I can't even get it to stay fresh and warm from oven to table, so that is miraculous. The removal of the bread and placement of the new bread was a ritual act. The old bread was still as hot as when it was set down. Eating the bread wasn't just a perk, it was a sacred act, since it was Kodesh Kodashim, most holy. Only priests could consume it, and they had to eat it within the sanctuary. Rabbinic tradition sometimes compared it to a kind of covenant meal, showing God's provision for those who serve. Frankincense offering. The frankincense placed with the bread was burned as an offering to God when the bread was removed. Rabbis noted this as a way of linking the bread which the priests ate with God who received the incense, symbolizing a shared meal between God and his people. In rabbinic connection to the menorah. In rabbinic symbolism, the menorah or the lampstand and the table of bread go together, light and sustenance. God provides both spiritual illumination and physical provisions. Some rabbis even said the bread and lamp represented the balance of Torah, study, the light, and livelihood, bread. The weekly, this ethical and spiritual lessons, the weekly renewal of the bread reminded Israel to renew their devotion to God. Rabbis also saw in it a call to hospitality. Just as God's house always had bread, so should Israel's home be open to provide food for others. Interesting note, later Jewish synagogues often placed bread and wine as a symbolic offering, keeping alive the sense that God is both host and provider. Okay, if you say so. I don't find him to be much of a provider. Like, obviously, those people provided everything. He provided nothing, so I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know how he provided anything in that case. Let's see. Going up to verse 10, blasphemy and its punishment. All right. A man whose mother was an Israelite and whose father was an Egyptian came out among the people of Israel, and the Israelite's woman's son and a certain Israelite began fighting in the camp. The Israelite woman's son blasphemed the name in a curse. And the word name is capitalized right there. And they brought him to Moses. Now his mother's name was Shelomith, daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan, and they put him in custody until the decision of the Lord should be made clear to them. The Lord said to Moses, saying, "Take the blasphemer outside the camp, and let all who were within hearing lay their hands on his head, and let the whole congregation stone him, and speak to the head and speak to the people of Israel, saying, anyone who curses God shall bear the sin. One who blasphemes the name of the Lord shall be put to death. The whole congregation shall stone the blasphemer. Aliens as well as citizens, when they blaspheme the name, shall be put to death. Anyone who kills a human being shall be put to death. Anyone who kills an animal shall make restitution for it, life for life. Anyone who maims another shall suffer the same injury in return. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The injury inflicted is the injury to be suffered. One who kills an animal shall make restitution for it. But one who kills a human being shall be put to death. You shall have one law for the alien and for the citizen, for I am the Lord your God." Moses spoke thus to the people of Israel, and they took the blasphemer outside the camp and stoned him to death. The people of Israel did as the Lord had commanded Moses. Wow, not a God of mercy. No, not a God of mercy at all. He really is. God is the most evil character in the Bible. He really is. Like, hi, kitty. There's a kitty up here. Hey, we don't tear apart the chair. First of all, I want to know what it means to blaspheme, because this word is argued about a lot. Like, so people think that it means to deny the Holy Spirit. Other people think it means to say God's name in vain, like, oh my God. Other people say it means to say that when God has done a miraculous thing, to give credit to that miracle to demons is blasphemous. So what is blasphemy? What was blasphemy for the ancient Israelites? Because people seem to argue about what it really meant. Hi, Tito. The core Hebrew term, the Hebrew word often translated blasphemy, is nakav. In Leviticus 24:16, whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall surely be put to death. Literally, nakav can mean to pierce, to designate, or to curse. So the idea isn't casual swearing, it's intentionally cursing or reviling God's name.
How would you pierce God's name? That's interesting.
Yeah, right?
What?
That is very interesting. What it likely meant to ancient Israelites, cursing God's name, most scholars think it meant directly uttering a curse against Yahweh and the covenant with God. Misuse of the divine name, saying God's name in a dishonoring way, especially in an oath or a magical practice, may have been included. Rebellion against covenant authority. Its blasphemy wasn't just bad language. It was public defiance of Israel's God, a rejection of loyalty to the covenant. Yeah, I think F God might qualify, and I think it also might be like, F this Yahweh. I think his covenant is stupid. Like, that might do it too, But I don't know how to pierce it, Schley. I don't know how to do that. Later rabbis, let's go. The case of Leviticus. This law comes after the story of the man who is half Israelite and half Egyptian, who blasphemed the name with a curse. That narrative gives the model that he cursed God directly in public and the community treated it as treason against Israel's deity. Let's see who's in the box. Logic, I only bring up friendlies that I know. Does somebody know logic? Because I don't know logic. If somebody knows you and they tell me I should bring you up, I'll bring you up. But otherwise, I don't bring up just anybody on Wednesdays, non-believers Bible study. Rabbinic expansion. Later, rabbis tried to pin down exactly what counted. The Mishnah, Sanhedrin 7:5 says blasphemy specifically means uttering the divine name Yahweh with a curse. Just saying God damn in general way wasn't blasphemy. It was specifically invoking the sacred name in a profane or hostile way. So I think you have to say Yahweh, and then you have to say like Yahweh sucks donkey dicks or something like that.
Oh my goodness. What a weird specific. Oh no, we've been blaspheming wrong this entire time.
Yeah. So if you want to get it right, everybody repeat after me. Yahweh sucks donkey dicks. Okay? Now you can say you did it right. Okay? I love my. Let me change my goal. I don't usually have this type of goal for. There's a flash goal that I'll start. If you guys can send me those heart me's, that would be great. But let me change my regular goal because, wow, that was wild. It's making my chat like really big. I guess I can't change my regular goal. I have a flash goal. Okay. Second Temple Judaism. Blasphemy broadened to include insulting sacred things like the temple and the Torah and the prophets. Hey, fuck Abraham too. How do you like them apples? Okay. So you weren't allowed to say fuck Abraham in the Second Temple Judaism. Hi, Bryhead. You guys, if you're friendly and I know you and you want to come up and join us for Bible study, just put a request in. You're more than welcome. But I do only bring up friendlies, and I kind of like to know you before I bring you up. Edie, please don't knock anything off, okay? Come on. This is not a place for you. I'm in Leviticus chapter 24. Rabbi, if you want to come up, come on up. Because we've got questions. All right. Early Christianity. By the time of Jesus, blasphemy could mean claiming divine prerogatives, which is why in Mark 14:64 they say Jesus blasphemed. God, I can't. By claiming to sit at God's right hand. Islam and medieval Christianity both broadened blasphemy to mean insulting God, prophets, or sacred things more generally. Okay, well, there you go. So if you're trying to blaspheme, I think that we know you kind of have to do all those things, like just to make sure. So, like, go do the whole spectrum, okay? Make sure you include the prophets and the book and everything if you're trying, if that's your goal.
Can you just say, I'm going to do all of the above? Like, all of the above, blaspheme now. That period. That's so silly.
Don't drink my coffee. Okay, we are now in Leviticus 25. So we're getting there, you guys. Let's see. We have a few more chapters, right? Oh, we only have 2 more after this. Okay, we got this today. I know, Aaron, you and me both, for sure. Okay, here we go. The Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land that I am giving you, the land shall observe a Sabbath for the Lord. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in your yield. But in the 7th year there shall be a Sabbath of complete rest for the land. A Sabbath for the Lord. You shall not sow your field or prune your vineyard. You shall not reap the aftergrowth of your harvest or gather the grapes of your unpruned vines. It shall be a year of complete rest for the land. You may eat what the land yields during its Sabbath. You, your male and female slaves, your hired and your bound laborers who live with you, for your livestock also, and for the wild animals in your land, all its yield shall be for food. I like when we're reading something that doesn't like really have to do with like another conversation or whatever, but it gives me a little input into it. Right here, so many Christians say that they weren't slaves, they were bond servants. Right here, it distinguishes between the two in this verse. It says, you, your male and female slaves, your hired and your bound laborers. He separates all of them. So a slave is not a bondservant. It's clearly telling you that right there. They were not hired workers. It's telling you that right there. I don't have a highlighter on hand. I don't know how many of you guys have Justin's Magic List, but I bought tabs and I bought pens and I bought highlighters, and I'm going to be like setting up my whole Bible with his cheat sheet. My cats are knocking things down. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. The year of Jubilee. This is some more important scripture that you're going to hear a lot from Christians because they are going to claim that all slaves went free in the year of Jubilee, and that's not true. So let's read about the year of Jubilee, shall we? And don't forget, if you haven't sent me a heart me, I need some heart me's. I need 12. And you can only everybody has to do it because you can only send one heart me. All right, here we go. You shall count off 7 weeks of years, or Sabbaths is what my notations say. 7 times 7 years, so that the period of 7 weeks of years gives 49 years. Then you shall have the trumpet sound loud on the 10th day of the 7th month, on the Day of Atonement. You shall have the trumpet sounded throughout all your land, and you shall hallow the 15th year, and you shall proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you. You shall return every one of you to your property, and every one of you to your family. That 15th year shall be a jubilee for you. You shall not sow or reap the aftergrowth or harvest the unpruned vines, for it is a jubilee. It shall be holy to you. You shall eat only what the field itself produces. So let's look more into a jubilee. You guys, thank you for all the likes and the gifts and the shares. I really appreciate it. The Jubilee was one of the most radical social ideas in the Torah. It's laid out mainly in Leviticus 25. Every 50th year, after 7 cycles of 7 sabbatical years, Israel was to celebrate a Jubilee year. On the Day of Atonement, a trumpet, shofar, and if you guys don't know, Rabbi Hannah has a shofar, and she has actually blown that shofar on TikTok before, and it's really cool. So you should check out what a shofar is. It's very cool. Also called Yovel, was blown to announce it, Leviticus 25, 9, and 10. What are you doing? Crying at yourself in the mirror? That's silly. The land was to rest, no planting or harvest harvesting, similar to a sabbatical year. What happened in Jubilee? Slaves, fellow Israelites freed. Any Israelite who had become indentured due to poverty was set free. That's in Leviticus 25, 39, and 41. We're going to get to that in just a minute. We haven't gone that far yet, but I wanted to read about Jubilee. Land returned to families. Ancestral land that had been sold because of debt or poverty was returned to the original family or tribe. Leviticus 25, 13. Mommy, I'm not bringing you up. I don't know why you keep asking. This prevented permanent loss of land and kept wealth from consolidating in a few hands. Debts canceled indirectly. Land sales were really leases until Jubilee. Prices were set based on how many years were left until Jubilee. Theological meaning. God owns the land. The land is mine, for you are strangers and residents with me. 25, 23. Israelites were caretakers, not ultimate owners. Restoration. Jubilee was a reset button, restoring freedom, equality, and balance in the community. Justice and mercy. It was meant to prevent generational poverty, permanent slavery, or land monopolies. At least for the Israelites, right? Because it didn't get rid of permanent slavery. Not if you were a woman, and not if you were not an Israelite. So that's kind of not true. Rabbinical teachings. The Mishnah, Rosh Hashanah 1, 1 and 2, says the Jubilee year officially began when the shofar was blown on Yom Kippur. Rabbis debated whether Jubilee applied when only some tribes were in the land. Many said it only applied when all Israel dwelt there. Some rabbis stress its symbolic meaning, even if not practiced literally after the exile. Historical questions. Scholars debate whether Israel ever actually practiced Jubilee in full. The laws are radical and idealistic. There's little biblical evidence that they were widely enforced. Many think it functioned more as a theological vision of justice than a regularly observed national policy. In short, the Jubilee was a once in 50 years reset, freeing slaves, forgiving debt, and returning land. A reminder that God, not humans, is the true owner of everything. Okay. So that is what Jubilee is.
Why would it be just once a year? Why not just like, hey, let's do this and then never go back?
Yeah, and it's every 50 years too. Like, what if like a lot of people, I don't think. Oh, good, Rabbi Hannah's coming. She can educate us.
Hey, I hope you
Hi,
guys
Rabbi.
like my ears, and so I'm gonna try my best, but I hope you
Okay.
can hear me. Okay, I'm in the middle of actually trying to get new ears, so there's that. Okay, so what about the Jubilee year?
So I was just reading what it meant to the ancient Israelites. So I was going over some of the things that it said here that it was every 50th year after 7 cycles of 7 sabbatical years, Israel was to celebrate a Jubilee year. Is that correct?
In the 50th year. Yeah. So
Yeah.
7 is a really important number in Judaism. So 7 by 7 is huge. And then the 50th year is supposed to be where you were having this huge celebration. Every 50 years you have this huge celebration, which is different than the Shemitah year, which is every 6th to 7th year, where then in the Shemitah year you let your fields go fallow so they can be revived. You don't plant in the same places you were before. In fact, you're not supposed to plant at all. You're supposed to plant the previous year enough to hold you through the next year. You forgive debts, etc., etc.
And then I was talking about your shofar.
Oh.
Because it says a trumpet or shofar, also called a yobel, is that how you say, or yovel, was
Yovel.
blown to announce it.
Yes. So, So what happens is, well, in modern times, shofar is blown every day except for the Sabbath to announce call to prayer. During the Rosh Hashanah, during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we blow it as a way to signify the opening of the gates. That's what we call it, the opening of the gates. And then during Yom Kippur, we blow it again, a certain type of cadence to signify the closing of the gates and the starting of a new year. And then we call it the high holidays because it's not just Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Simchat Torah, Shmitzi, Tzisrei, and Sukkot, also known as Nomadic Hut Awareness Week.
That's cool that you guys have the high holidays. I really like
Quite
that.
during about a month and a half, we're like, don't talk to us because we're really busy going from one to the next because it's 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, 10 days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, 8 days between that and Shimi Sitzri, and then another 9 days before that, between that and what we would call Simchat Torah, is where we celebrate the giving of the Torah. We dance with the actual Torah scrolls and drink and, Jew stuff. I don't even know. Yeah, just Jew stuff.
Okay, and then it talks about what happened in Jubilee. It says, any Israelite who had become indentured due to poverty was set free. They were not to be treated as permanent slaves, but as hired workers who must be released in Jubilee. Did this include women?
No.
Just the men.
This in no way, shape, or form included women. Women never went free, and it did not include your slaves that you bought from a foreign nation or from the foreigners who reside with you. They are permanent slaves. Women are permanent slaves. Foreigners are permanent slaves. They mean Israelite men could go free, but Israelite men were supposed to go free in the 7th year. That being said, during Jubilee, it's like anyone who had come in and let's say you had come in the third, it's 3 years until Jubilee.
Mm-hmm.
And normally you would have to go for the 6 years. If Jubilee comes up in the 4th year, then they're supposed to let you free then and forgive any of the rest of your debts.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so then it says that ancestral land that had been sold because of debt or poverty was returned to the original family or tribe. This prevented permanent loss of land and kept wealth from consolidating in a few hands.
I'm sorry, one more time, love?
It said ancestral land that had been sold because of debt or poverty was returned to the original family or tribe, and this prevented permanent loss of land and kept wealth from consolidating into just a few hands.
Yeah, the idea was to make sure that the few could not lord over the many.
Okay, that sounds cool. And then it says debts canceled indirectly. Land sales were really leases until Jubilee. Prices were set based on how many years were left until Jubilee.
I'm actually trying to think on this one. Where are you reading this from, love?
Oh, I just Googled like what Jubilee symbolized for ancient Israelites.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. That's why I like it that you're up here to make sure I don't say anything that's not.
No, you're okay. I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, no, you're fine. So Jubilee is supposed to be like the ultimate like celebration year where everything is like marked fresh and you begin again. So everything.
Yeah, so it's like a reset for the entire tribe.
Years, it is a reset again because the number 7 is very important. Like 7 is supposed to be if I remember correctly, and my mother is going to kill me if I don't because she's going to be like, how do you not know this? The number 7 is the perfect number in Judaism. In fact, let me go check my notes being like, I'm going to ask my mama.
Okay. And I invited Jay up because when you get back, Jay has a question about Jubilee as well. Hi, Jay. How are you today?
Well, Crystal, how are you?
I'm doing well. We'll wait for Rabbi to come back and she can answer your question.
Okay, that sounds great. It's a question I've had, and I've asked a couple of folks in the community about it, but nobody's quite sure. And I figured Rabbi might be the one who can answer the question, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, thank
I thought I had this right. So the reason 7 is such an important number in Judaism is because the world was created in 7 days, or 6 days. But the 7th day, the Shabbat, is blessed, sanctified, and set apart. So it is it's the 7th day. So 7 is part of that. The Brit Milah, the circumcision cycle, is on the 8th day. But the 8th day rests then on this foundation of a completed 7. Yeah? What else? Okay. Festivals are structured around 7-day cycles. Pesach is last 7 days. That's only in Israel. Sukkot, of course, that nomadic cut awareness week last 7 days. The Omer we count for 7 weeks, 49 days in total, linking Pesach to Shavuos. The sanctifying of the land. The land rests every 7th year, like I mentioned, the Shemitah year. After 7 cycles of 7 comes the Yovel, the Jubilee year. The year of release and freedom. That is like the reset. 7 thus marks not only sacred time, but also sacred justice, release from debt and return of land. Many purification rituals take 7 days after contact with unalignment, childbirth, skin disease. You get kicked out of the camp for 7 days and come back. Priestly consecration does also take 7 days. Sacrifices often include 7 types of animals or 7 sprinklings of blood. And it is a symbolism of wholeness and holiness because it's a completion of a full cycle. So the 7 heavens in Jewish mysticism reflect the layered completeness of creation. Divine order. At Jewish weddings, I know the Sheva Bracha is the 7 blessings, right? They're recited linking marriage to creation, covenant, and joy. So 7 represents the sacred completeness, which makes it the most holy number in Gematria. Gematria? Yeah, in Gematria.
Okay. Jay, what was your question? If you don't mind answering, it's about Jubilee.
That's why I got into the whole job I do is to answer questions.
I thought you wouldn't mind, but I should always ask just to be sure.
Thank you, Rabbi. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How can I help you?
Well, I had a question about that, the year of biblically releasing slaves in the year of Jubilee. From what I've been seeing, and I haven't done a ton of research, I will admit, I'm kind of just getting into the question, but from what I've seen, that year of Jubilee is a set year on the calendar. So, for example, you would know, okay, Jubilee was last year, so now it's going to be 6 years from now.
It won't be 6 years till the Shemitah year. Jubilee is only once every 50 years.
Oh, okay. I may have the incorrect name. I apologize. So when it's talking about someone being a slave for 6 years and having to be released in the 7th, does that? Here's the scenario that confuses me. Does that mean that like somebody say would not take on a debt slave in say the 5th year because then they can only keep them for 2?
It's possible, but I have never seen anything like that. I mean, it's possible, but it would be kind of underhanded.
I see.
Because what ultimately what it is you're, if you have a debt, you're supposed to take them into an Israelite, debt servitude. And then if they're coming in a few years before the Jubilee year, you still are supposed to take them in. And in taking them in, then they are to be released in the Jubilee year. I mean, I'm sure that there would be some people, if this was an actual practice, I'm sure that there would be people who would say, no, because I'm not going to get all of it out of it. But the idea was supposed to be a forgiving idea. We're going to reset, we're going to forgive everything, and we are going to start over as a community, as a people, and do better, or at least attempt to do better from where we were.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that was really it, Rabbi. Thank you very much for that answer. It was driving me nuts to think that it was, like I said, it was going to be, say, in year 7 and then in year 14 and so on, when I believed in the Bible it said that they would be in that situation for 6 years before being released.
Okay, so I think what is happening is you have the two mixed up.
Okay. Okay.
first is the Shemitah year, and that happens every 7 years. And that is what is really talked about when you're talking about debt servitude of your fellow Israelites.
I see.
Come
Okay.
in 6 years, and they will leave in the 7th. If they came in with a wife, they leave with a wife. If they came in by themselves, they leave by themselves. If a master gave them a wife and they had children, they leave by themselves and do not have the ability to take the wife and child. If they want to stay with their wife and child, they have an owl driven through their ear, and now they are no longer a debt slave, they are a permanent slave.
I see. Okay.
That is every 7 years. 7 times 7 years is where we get to the 49th year. And then at the 50th year is Jubilee. That is the full community, everybody reset, all debts are forgiven no matter whose they are, and we start over again.
I see. So I was calling them both Jubilee, and that was not
No, yeah, one
necessarily
is
correct. I see.
at every 7, and then the other happens every 50 at the Jubilee year.
Okay.
And
That,
I think
that
that I hear that a lot, Jay, and I'm guessing this. There may be a translation out there that says that, and so we ex-Christians think that that's it, because I too had that impression. So, and so either we're taught it or there's a translation out there that says it that way for Christians, if you know what I mean.
that may
Because
be
I
it.
did think that too.
I was raised in the Catholic Church, so I I don't think I was ever taught anything about the Old Testament other than the creation story and the Ten Commandments, and that was about it. Beyond that, we were kind of told not even to bother reading it. So this is something new for me, just within the last year or so, trying to go back through and read it all. So thank you both very much. I'm sorry?
I said I'm very happy to help.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Crystal, thanks for bringing me up.
No problem. You have
Enjoy
a
the
good
rest of your day. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. You too. Okay, we are in verse 13, and I might have more questions for you, Rabbi.
Well, I'm
Do
here.
you need help down? Oh, you got it. Okay. In this year of Jubilee, you shall return every one of you to your property. When you make a sale to your neighbor or buy from your neighbor, you shall not cheat one another. When you buy, can you do it the rest of the time? Just not in the year of Jubilee. Why was there a distinction there? When you buy from your neighbor, you shall pay only for the number of years since the Jubilee. The seller shall charge you only for the remaining crop's years. If the years are more, you shall increase the price, and if the years are fewer, you shall diminish the price, for it is a certain number of harvests that are being sold to you. You shall not cheat one another, but you shall fear your God, for I am the Lord your God. Okay, I think this is the part where it was telling me that that they did this to Catholic. I don't bring up believers on non-believers Bible study. They did this to make it more equitable for everybody.
I think that a lot of the times what we think is, what we of course now look back and go, well, that's not equitable. And yes, absolutely, in their backwards way, they're absolutely trying to make things equitable.
Yeah, I think that's what it was saying earlier when I was reading it to you, and you were like, wait, what? Because it was this part that it's talking about. They were just trying to make it more equitable. So, okay, on verse 18, you shall observe my statutes and faithfully keep my ordinances so that you may live on the land securely. The land will yield its fruit, and you will eat your fill and live on it securely. Should you ask, what shall we eat in the 7th year if we may not sow or gather in our crop? I will order my blessing for you in the 6th year so that it will yield a crop of 3 years. When you sow in the 8th year, you shall be eating from the old crop until the 9th year. When its produce comes in, you shall eat the old. The land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine. With me you are but aliens and tenants. Throughout the land that you hold, you shall provide for the redemption of the land.
Yeah. So the idea here being very much the way that Judaism is taught. We were given the earth to take care of, but it is not ours. We borrow it, and then we give it back. And our time here is supposed to be meant to enrich the land, enrich the people, enrich, making sure that we are good caretakers. We aren't supposed, when it says have dominion over, it did not mean to ruthlessly rule over the earth as much as it was to inhabit the earth and be careful with it. Obviously, in 2025, we know we did no such thing. We have since poisoned water, air, food, land, and then we wonder why shit has gone to pot. But that was not originally the idea, especially not in the Hebrew. The dominion was not meant to be like rule over with an iron fist. No, don't get me wrong. There's a whole lot of places within the biblical text that are fucked up. And I make no excuses for that. I know you know that because I can't. There would be disingenuous to try and make excuses. But this are tribal people who are understanding something very like tribal. And it very much goes to the way tribal identity works across the globe, that we do not own anything. We just borrow it. We're supposed to tend it and make it better than for the next generation. I wonder if people.
And you are also indigenous, so and that is part of that culture as well. This land is it's not ours,
we borrow it. Yeah,
we borrow it.
The idea is that Wakanta, which is the creator, is in everything. So like very kind of animistic. We are called the Middle Waters people. And in that we come from, water and mud, and we are the combination of the two. And because of that, we are supposed to be caretakers for the, for the earth and the water. And again, we own it, we just borrow it.
Yeah, and I think that's a big difference, because Christianity teaches us that God gave us dominion, and so we could do whatever the fuck we want with it, and that Satan rules over it. So who cares about it? We're going to get a new one anyway.
Yeah, I think that is it. If you believe that this is temporary, if you think that this is temporary, then it doesn't matter how you treat it. But then you don't see that the way you treat it then directly correlates to what that happens. Why are so many children having cancer when they're 3 or 4 years old? Well, because everything that they ingest, water's been poisoned. People think that owning water is a thing. I still don't understand Nestle. Or that water isn't a right. Like, bitch, you don't own the water. Pardon me. I'm sorry. That gets my head up.
Me too.
The food, the air, we've completely decimated part of our ozone layer, which has protected us from, sun rays. And then we go, wonder how come there's an uptick in cancer and there's an uptick in these diseases. Well, we didn't do a good job taking care of the things that we've been told that we were supposed to take care of. My daughter, she's in remission, and she's been in remission a long time, but she had leukemia when she was 3, long before she would ever know what the hell that is. She's being poked and prodded. And I remember my ex-wife wondering, why would God do this? And I said, God didn't do this. God had no play in giving our child leukemia. The earth we live on is what did this. It has nothing to do with God. I don't think that God necessarily gives disease, but I think it's easier to blame God than take responsibility and onus on the fact that we just ruined the world.
Yeah. Christians don't blame God though either. Christians blame your sin or your mother's sin.
I have heard Christians who blame God, but they say it's for your own good if you are being tested.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, yeah, but see, it's still you. Like, it's not God. You did that to yourself. You made him need to test you.
That's so interesting because, Jews do have a little bit of, there are a lot of Jews who believe that, things happen for a reason. But there's also a lot of Jews who are like, yeah, things happen for a reason. Sometimes that reason is you're an idiot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with God. We kicked God out. We told God to go the fuck away. We're supposed to be ruling this and running this, and we just are really bad landlords.
Yeah, right? Okay. Verse 25, if any one of your kin falls into difficulty and sells a piece of property, then the next of kin shall come and redeem what the relative has sold. If the person has no one to redeem it, but then prospers and finds sufficient means to do so, the years since its sale shall be computed, and the difference shall be refunded to the person to whom it was sold, and the property shall be returned. But if there are not sufficient means to recover it, what was sold shall remain with the purchaser until the year of Jubilee. In the Jubilee it shall be released, and the property shall be returned. So again, this was trying to make things equitable. We're trying to restore things to balance in the
And
community.
prior to that, someone could buy it back for you prior to Jubilee. So, like, if I sold my land because I was in so much debt, I had no choice. A relative could come to the person I sold it to and say, "I'm a direct relative of Rabbi Hana, and I wish to redeem the land." Redeeming literally means to buy it back. You know, I wish to take. I'm going to give you money to take it back. That's why also the redeeming of the firstborn male, it's money. I know that a lot of times that people are like, no, you're supposed to be, sacrificing your child. And don't get me wrong, there was child sacrifice in these areas, but this specifically was you were supposed to give a certain amount of money to the priest for the temple. Which of course was different than and redeeming the firstborn of your flock was similar. Right? Some of it was sacrifice, some of it was hey, I have to come in and give over the sheep, the firstborn sheep for not necessarily sacrifice, but to feed the temple, because priests were taken care of by the community. This was their only job. So every bit of food they had, every bit of everything they had was was held up by the community. So the community was responsible for feeding. That's why you see in a lot of the verses where it says sacrifice will happen, and then the meat will go to the priests.
Yes,
Because
yes.
that's how they eat. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If anyone sells a dwelling house in a walled city, it may be redeemed until a year has elapsed since its sale. The right of redemption shall be 1 year. If it is not redeemed before a full year has elapsed, a house that is in a walled city shall pass in perpetuity to the purchaser throughout the generations. It shall not be released in the Jubilee. But the houses in villages that have no walls around them shall be classed as open country. They may be redeemed, and they shall be released in the Jubilee. As for the cities of the Levites shall forever have the right of redemption of the houses in the cities belonging to them. Such properties as may be redeemed from the Levites, houses sold in a city belonging to them, shall be released in the Jubilee, because the houses in the cities of the Levites are their possession among the people of Israel. But the open land around their cities may not be sold, for that is their possession for all time. So this you probably will have to explain to me, because there's a lot going on here. If it's in the city, if it's a Levites, if there's walls, if there's
Let me bring it up. Let me pull it up. What verse?
This is chapter 25, verse 29 through 34.
Oh yeah, okay. 29 through 34. I know I say it every time I do this, because my damn teacher's assistant is so awesome that he set it up. I just type. I do a thing where it says find, and then I'm like Leviticus 25, and it will pull up all my notes. Yes, Kim,
Excuse me.
Oh, okay. So that first part is basically saying if you sell a house in a city, not an open air, like an actual city that has walls around it, someone may come and buy it until a year has passed. You have a certain amount of time to buy it back. So you have up to a year to buy that back. If it is not bought during that redemption period, then you cannot buy it back after the year. You have to then
Okay.
yeah, it's now not okay. And then you read 30, right?
Yes. I went down to 34.
Down to 34. It's not redeemed before it lapsed. Okay. Yeah. So the person who bought it gets to have it now because you didn't redeem it within the year. It is not something that goes back into or released in Jubilee, because you had the opportunity. Your relatives have the opportunity. So now it is permanently yours, just like any sale of a house.
Okay.
ויחרים אשר במותיהם כמה ישבים ישבים הארץ גורלת ויעבור יצא. But the house is with no wall around it.
So okay, so here's the thing. So what it's saying is, if you're in an open field, you build a house in an open field, it's not specifically in a city, then the same does not apply. It has to be released in Jubilee because it is not part of a city itself. It is part of like the wild country where you have just, have it.
Okay, and why was there such a difference between whether it was in a walled city or if it was just out there? What was the significance of that?
So they can't be classified as a city because they're out where you plant fields. And because it's out where you plant fields, it's then considered legally part of the planting. And since it's part of the planting and the planting goes free on Jubilee, so does the house.
Okay.
It's just legalities at this point. The legality of it is it's not in a city. It's out where you literally are living next to where you plant shit, but not in a walled city. It's considered part of the land that you plant shit on, so it has to be released in the land.
Okay.
And
so we're getting down to technicalities in the legalese basically for this.
absolutely, yeah.
יגאל מהלווים יצא ממכה בעת יקום בעבר אברהם כותו בני ישראל. That's probably maybe 18. Houses to the city belong to them. Houses sold and belong to them shall be released.
Oh yeah, so if you sold your house inside a city, but you sold it to the Levites, to like the priests, as a way to settle your debt, then you can buy it back from the Levites. But if you don't, that also has to be released in the Jubilee, because the Levites are not allowed to keep holding on to them. Because the houses in the city of the Levites are their holding among the Israelites, but they have to be released in the Jubilee because the Levites are caretakers. They are not supposed to have permanent residence.
Okay. And that's the priestly line, right?
Yeah, the Levites are like the line of Aaron. But yeah, the land open around the cities may not be sold, for that is their perpetual holding because they're supposed to be attached to the wall, or attached to the land. So anything that the Levites happen to have outside the walled city is perpetually theirs. So basically, houses in walled cities equal only 1 year to redeem, not freed in Jubilee. Houses in villages or fields treated like land, always redeemable, freed in Jubilee. Levite cities equal perpetual rights of redemption, reflecting the unique role and inheritance among Israel through the Levitical line.
Okay. All right. That's awesome, and it also makes sense.
Yeah, that is definitely where it gets into the legalities of what is happening in the Levitical code. Because remember, the law code, the Leviticus is about the law code, and it's just what the law says you can do versus what the law says you cannot do.
Okay. So verse 35, if any of your kin fall into difficulty and become dependent on you, you shall support them. They shall live with you as though resident aliens. Do not take interest in advance or otherwise. Make a profit from them, but fear your God. Let them live with you. You shall not lend them your money at interest, taken in advance, or provide them food at a profit. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan to be your God. So you got to take care of your own.
Absolutely.
Somebody's having a hard time, take care of them. And then, just for good measure, I love it how he likes to guilt you at the end of it every time, because don't forget, I took you out of the land of Egypt. I'm going to keep telling you that.
Guilt is woven into Judaism. So basically, you cannot let one of your own kin sell themselves to you. You are obligated to automatically take care of them, and you can't overcharge them. Like if you do happen to sell food to them, you can't give it higher interest than you would somebody else. In fact, you're not supposed to do it at all. You're supposed to just take care of them because they're related to you. That's also why we have the Levirate law. It's because if the Levirate law is, it's very rarely performed anymore, but the Levirate law says that if you, as a woman were married to a man and he unalived and you had no children, then that is not good. So their nearest kin, whether it's brother, cousin, etc., is obligated to marry you so that you may bear children and raise up the house. That is called the levirate marriage, and it is from the idea that a widow must be taken care of by the next of kin so that she does not fall into poverty. We really see that with Onan and then again with Ruth. Oh, of course, Tamar and Onan, she was promised other sons because of what happened. And of course, her father-in-law like completely stiffs her until she, gets pregnant by him, and then suddenly it's okay. And then of course Ruth, she tricks him, yeah. But good for her.
Yeah.
And with Ruth, the same thing happens. Ruth's husband passes away, and then she and Naomi go back to where Naomi comes from, and she's allowed to glean because she is they are impoverished. So gleaning is the edges of your field may not be harvested because they have to be let stay there for any poor person to come through and get food, so that they are not embarrassed in asking. The idea is not to. So you have to leave all of 10%, all the edges of your field do not get harvested, so that gleaners can come, whether it's wheat, fruit, vegetables, so they do not go hungry, but it saves them from having to ask and say, I am so without food, And that's still a law in Israel now. You have to leave your 10% of your fields without being harvested for gleaners. So in that, this is where she meets, of course, Boaz, and the feet thing and the threshing floor, because she has no children and they need protection and being to take care of, so that she is not a widow who falls into poverty.
Okay. All right. There's states like Hawaii, you can eat any of the fruit that grows on any public tree. And then there's states like California who plant fruit trees that have inedible fruit. Like in the city I live in, which you know which one it is. It's just so ridiculous. If we're gonna have a fruit tree, why wouldn't we bear fruit that people who are hungry can eat whenever they want?
It's funny, it's where I live, and you know where that is. It's different. If somebody is in neighborhoods, if their fruit trees grow over the edge of the property, anything that's over the edge of the property is considered public domain. So you could pick fruit from over the edge of the property. Like we.
I wonder if there's any rules like that about the orchards.
Yeah, the huge lemon tree that my neighbor has grows into my yard, and even though I'm like, could you guys please cut it back because it's pushing into my fence, they never do. So I'm like, wait a minute, let's cut it into our yard, so everywhere here over is ours. Luckily, my wife was in real estate, so she knows the laws, and she's like, if it's over the property line, if it goes into public domain or it goes into your domain, you're allowed to take it.
That's cool. That's really cool. In my city, they planted oranges that are inedible.
It's weird because they have all those orange groves out,
I know.
towards you. And I'm like,
I know, it's ridiculous.
Let's not
I'm
act
not
like
just
in the dark cover of darkness. People can't go get those oranges out of the orange fields or groves, I should say.
Yeah. All right, verse 39. Here's the good part everybody loves, okay? This is the verses, you guys, that everybody debates on here. So if you want to remember where the slavery and servant verses are, we're going to go over them right now. If any who are dependent on you become so impoverished that they sell themselves to you, you shall not make them serve as slaves. They shall remain with you as hired or bound laborers. They shall serve with you until the year of the Jubilee. Then they and their children with them shall be free from your authority. They shall go back to their own family and return to their ancestral property. For they are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as slaves are sold. You shall not rule over them with harshness. You shall fear your God. As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, it is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from among the aliens residing with you, and from their families that are with you, who have been born in your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves. But as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. So my question here is, in here it says that you shall release them in the year of Jubilee. As a Christian, I'm told that's every like 6 years or something.
Yeah, that's because they don't have it exactly right, I think, in your translation.
Okay.
Hold on a second, let me look.
That's what I'm wondering.
So if you notice, it says that if anyone who is dependent on you becomes so impoverished they sell themselves to you, does not mean your relative. It means generally somebody who might live on your
Right.
land, a tenant that might live on your land, and a fellow Israelite that might live where you're a landlord of, but not your relative, because your relative you're supposed to take care of.
Right, that makes sense because I did also always picture like being a relative for some reason when I used to read that. But you're right, we just went over the part that if it's a relative, you are required to take care of them. So that makes sense. Like, so
Yes.
if I was like renting out a room from somebody and I am a fellow Israelite and then I couldn't pay my rent anymore.
Yeah,
then
you
I
could sell yourself to pay off your debt. So the idea here is you can't be exploitative of your kin. Okay? You cannot be charged interest, which is nesheka or neshek, interest, tarbit, profit, extra gain. You can't do any of that. Their belief is like this theology of justice. As we're told, we're supposed to pursue justice. There's no justice in like being this way to your own kin, right? And of course, the guilt is I brought you out of Egypt. And then we'll see the indentured versus slavery. If an Israelite sells himself temporary, like hired labor, never permanent enslavement. Now, the Jubilee is the year of release, is the ultimate safeguard, but that is not the same as the 6 years in and 7th year out. So I'm trying to remember. Let me pull it up here. Hold on.
Okay.
Well, that's not right. Hold on. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, so the 40 does say Yabul. He's up here.
Yeah.
This is different than the other one that does say, oh, that's right, I forgot about this. Josh and I were talking about this the other day. That one says 49 years and the other says 7, and the contradiction is still like a little, why is there a little bit of difference? And then-
JTP, you're welcome to come up. Any of our friendlies can come up during non-believers Bible study.
he's a believer. He's a Christian. I mean, he's a universalist, and he's a really he's also a scholar.
Yeah, but he's a friendly to us. Like he doesn't come up here, to just, disrupt, if you will.
It's the other one. Hold on. Let me grab it. Yeah.
I know you're a believer, JTP, but I also know that you're nice and you won't be disruptive. So you're welcome up.
No.
Mom.
Yeah.
Which one is the 6 years?
You what?
She's talking to her.
21. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the difference. So we see here in Leviticus, it's the 49 and 50. Yes. 49 in and 50 out. And Exodus 21:2 is where we get the 6 years in and the 7.
Oh, okay. So this is actually talking about the year of Jubilee, but it's not
Yes.
saying that this is the only time you have to.
And also Deuteronomy. Yeah, Deuteronomy 15:12. Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Tesla Kofi. If a member of your community, whether Hebrew man or woman, is sold to you 6 years.
And this is the part that's prefiguring Jesus, right?
Now this is interesting. Hold on a second.
She's kind of slapped me if I.
Don't make me get out Jew titties at you again.
uh, if only.
It was a statue of Asherah. Let me be real clear. I sent him a
I
picture.
don't know what you're talking about, but I trust you.
I sent him a picture. We were laughing about the word Job in another live, and I was like, "Do you mean like Jube?" And he's like, Jewish boobs. And he's like, "I would love that." And I'm like, "I'll send you the OG." And I like messaged him a picture of a statue of Asherah.
Asherah
That's
holding
so
herself.
funny.
It was.
I was like, "Here you go. These are the OGs." Oh, wait a minute.
Hey
Ha'ivri.
everybody on YouTube. I see you guys. It's just hard for me to chat on both screens. But if you have any questions or on YouTube, feel free to ask.
Uvashivit, Teshalagnet,
I mean, none of this really matters, Rabbi. I mean, it's all about Jesus anyway. So I think you're good.
You know, it's interesting. I kind of love Jesus. I caught him giving back shots behind the Wendy's a couple days ago.
Delightful.
Okay, so
He did not come to be served, but to serve.
there it is. Now, what's interesting is that 15, 20, 12 of Deuteronomy, I know you're not there yet, and if you want to wait, we can discuss it when we actually get there.
No, that's fine. I
Talk
don't
about
mind bringing it up.
releasing a Hebrew woman from slavery, but that's very much in direct contradiction to understanding that women never went out. They were always perpetual slaves. But yeah, so it is speaking here in the 49, in Leviticus 25, it is saying the 49 years they shall serve, and the 50.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. I had to go look at
Okay.
the Hebrew, and then I see it, I'm like, oh. Yeah, that does say
And
no.
that explains why we as Christians always called the other holiday Jubilee, because we just thought they were all Jubilee.
Yeah, no, I get
What?
I might actually talk to like I know he's gonna be like, you're better at this than I am, but I'm still gonna talk to Josh and see if he has any insight in the background. Like, hey, I know that that women never went free, and I know that this comes up, but I got to figure out why that is, or my brain doesn't always work. But on the good news, I went to school for a while just to refresh myself on the newest biblical scholarship. So there's that.
Cool. Very cool.
Okay,
We're in verse 47 now. You'll have to save your jokes for later, JP. 47. If resident aliens among you prosper, and if any of your kin fall into difficulty with one of them and sells themselves to an alien or to a branch of the alien's family, after they have sold themselves, they shall have the right of redemption. One of their brothers may redeem them, or their uncle or their uncle's son may redeem them, or any of their family who is of their own flesh may redeem them, or if they prosper, they may redeem themselves. They shall compute with the purchaser the total from the year when they sold themselves to the alien until the Jubilee year. The price of the sale shall be applied to the number of years. The time they were with the owner shall be rated as the time of a hired laborer. If many years remain, they shall pay for their redemption in proportion to the purchase price. And if few years remain until the Jubilee year, they shall compute thus, according to the years involved, they shall make payment for their redemption. As a laborer hired by the year, they shall be under the alien's authority, who shall not, however, rule with harshness over them in your sight. And if they have not been redeemed in any of these ways, they and their children with them shall go free in the Jubilee year. For to me, the people of Israel are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So this is just talking about other people that live within the Israelite community that are not Israelites, and if they sell themselves to each other.
No,
Right?
it's the other way around. So first, of course, you have 45, which starts talking about how you can buy slaves from your neighboring nations and all of that. The next part is saying if a Hebrew sells themselves to a foreigner in your midst. If I, as an
Oh,
Israelite,
okay.
owe a foreigner and have to go in and sell myself as a slave to a foreigner, my siblings or my family can come and pay to get me back. That is what it says. So there is a, let me come down here to it. Okay, yeah. So yeah.
Forrest, you can come up if you want.
I'm glad you can't see me because I'm chuckling, but if you have it,
And this is something that Christians tend to miss as well, is that the language of salvation that we utilize is actually slavery and slave economy language. So the notion of being redeemed by Jesus, right, and his sacrifice is related to being God's slaves who are purchased back from, in this case, Satan or the powers of darkness or evil. So there's early church atonement theories where God gets one over on the devil by paying a life, right, paying the life of Jesus for the redemption and the buying back of his people, and then he gets one over on Satan because Jesus resurrects. And so
Okay.
Satan actually doesn't receive any wages. And so there's a
And
little
that's
fun
why
fact.
Jesus wasn't really a sacrifice.
So
Well, I mean, it
Okay,
depends
so
on what you think of crucifixion.
And
Yeah.
this is why I don't let Christians up, because I'm going to drop you down now. Because this isn't a Christian Bible study. It's a
Oh
non-believer.
no, I think he was just giving you a tidbit, and he was actually calling out.
JTP is actually really good faith for a Christian. He's probably the best
I
faith
know,
Christian
but
ever.
then I'm going to get in a debate with him, and I don't
Oh,
want
no,
to
I get
debate
it.
because
So
I
a
don't want to.
rabbi, a professor, and an atheist walk into a live.
Yeah, hold on just a sec. So what it is that, okay, if one of your Israelite brethren have sold themselves to a foreigner, an alien among them, so what will happen is anyone in your family can go and buy them back. The uncle's son, anyone can, of their own flesh may redeem them. So if they prosper, meaning if they've earned enough money, they can say, hey, I've earned enough money to buy myself back or to redeem myself. Now, what it says is, what will happen is, let us say you have sold yourself in and it's been like a year and a half before anyone could come and redeem you. So the price to redeem you will be computed by how much money you have earned while working under the alien to pay back your debt. So from the year they sold themselves to the alien until Jubilee, the price shall be the sale applied to the number of years. So if I worked for you for 3 years, but I owed you for 7 years, we have to take the 3 years out, and only my people who are going to come and do the thing who are going to redeem me are going to go and pay only for the leftover years. I'm not going to have to be redeemed
that makes sense.
now because I've worked off 3 years of
Yeah.
debt. So that is what that is saying. And of course, we get through 51 through 55, which is the Jubilee redemption law is an entire unit, like down to 55 is going to be the end of it. Yeah.
Rabbi, can I ask you a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I was debating this chaplain the other day, and it was hilarious. The whole crowd was like, "He's on Chat GPT," and I turned my camera on. I turned my camera on. I was playing Xbox, and like I could see their faces turn. But I had a chaplain trying to basically say or ask me a question that I honestly didn't have an answer to. In Leviticus 25:44 that we were just reading, it says that you can purchase the slaves. He asked me a question I really didn't know the answer, so I did kind of obfuscate. But he said, "Who are they purchasing them from?"
Nations around them.
Right.
Oh, you mean who are the people they're purchasing them from? Well, other
Correct.
nations are
Correct.
putting up their own people for sale.
Right. And,
That's
and, and to his contention, it was, well, you can't sell anybody into slavery. He's like, who are they buying them from?
Okay, so it goes like this. The chaplain said this?
Well, I'm going to be very, I'm always really honest with you. I don't even have to preface it. This guy is very disingenuous, and his first part of his bio is urban apologetics.
Oh, right. Okay, so it goes like this. Other nations are doing the same thing, very similar to what Israel is doing. You're selling yourself into slavery if you have a debt, okay? And so the owner of you could then turn around and sell you to someone else. So just like if I was an Israelite who owned a foreign slave, I could turn around and sell that foreign slave to someone else. So this is what's happening. Israelites are going to other nations or the resident aliens who live among them and are buying from people who sold themselves into or were stolen. I don't want to say otherwise because that's true too. Are buying them from people who have their slaves up for sale.
Got you. So people who have their slaves up for sale, because there's no contention here that they could not have. Well, it's not mutually exclusive. They could have kidnapped them.
I mean, the people in the other nations could have kidnapped them, absolutely.
So where did these slaves?
By the way, is not the same when it says you have to you don't have to give back a person back to their captor. It's
Right.
not the slave thing. Just like you may purchase a car, right? And that is completely legal, but to steal a car is not legal.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. So it's just for the people in the nations around them who have their property, aka the slaves, for sale.
Yes, yeah. I don't know why he would think otherwise. Especially, I mean, I'm going to take at face value that he's a chaplain. But if he's a chaplain, then he should. If he's a Christian chaplain, he should know the book, and the book says
He didn't want to read 46 either.
I'm sorry?
He didn't want to read 40. He didn't want to read the part where it says you can bequeath them.
Well, yeah, you can give away or sell or do whatever the hell you want.
And you can, and in the future generations, because you understand. It says urban apologetics. He's going to. He says that there was no slavery. There was only indentured servitude.
Is this an alt account for like no degree required? Because
No, this is a real black chaplain who says that slavery did not exist in the context of the Bible the way that we define it.
Cognitive dissonance.
Fortis.
But that's what it would be. You
Yeah.
would be buying from people who were for sale in
Correct.
other.
So his contention is that there was no slavery in perpetuity, that there was only indentured servitude in which a person.
But it says that it's slavery in perpetuity.
I'm well aware, but his congregation simply follows his word like he's God.
Boris, in chapter 25, verse 6, it actually separates all of them. So how would he contend with this? It says, you may eat what the land yields during its Sabbath. You, your male and female slaves, your hired and your bound laborers. So it's separate. Why say bound laborers and hired workers if slaves weren't slaves?
So you said
Why
Leviticus
separate?
25:6 is the distinction?
Yep. It breaks them all
It does
down.
break
for
it
you.
down and tells you the separation between hired laborer, between bound servant, bond servant, and slave. So
Thank you.
I'm kind of wondering why he thinks like this, especially when the verses are right there.
I mean, you know that they'll always. Well, listen, Rabbi Hana. Love means love, and hate means love less. Okay.
Okay.
It's just always an excuse.
I want to ask you because I actually care a lot about you. You and I talk off app. If these people are actually bothering you, then they can kick rocks.
Nah. Luis and I fuck with each other, but I don't know. I just feel like everybody comes and they're like, it's kind of like you, like where like I know that you can defend yourself and I can defend myself, but there's only one person or two people that are bothering me. They're literally cyber stalking me, but I'm not afraid of them either.
Well,
But it's none of the people in the crowd. It's none of the
I just
people.
want to make sure that you're safe and that no one. People talk to me however they want, and most of the time I don't care. But as you have noticed, people talk to other people around me, and then I do care.
So you are me and I am you.
Yeah, I am it's the mom in me. I've got that. Like, what the fuck did you just say to my kid?
Yeah, it's quick to rise, slow to anger, because typically with people that like, if you can upset me, then I think that like I care about your opinion. And I hate the phrase like I hate when people like you know when people say nip it in the butt or like I could care less. It's like that's like nails on a chalkboard to me. It's like couldn't care less and nip it in the bud. So like I really couldn't care less about 99% of people's opinions, but the two people whose opinions I do care about are the people that are on the live in the panel. So no, I'm totally good.
I I just want to make sure, because like the thing for me, as you know, and I know Crystal knows, and I wish you had been in a live with me last night, Crystal. This person was just talking all over the women, and I ended up dropping him.
Remember Pink Pill? She was talking mad shit about you, and I came up to the panel and got dropped in like 30 seconds for just like absolutely eviscerating her ass. They couldn't find the mute button fast enough to block her.
Who was this? So I can block them?
Remember you probably remember the chick that called you woman
Oh, yeah. Oh,
in Dougal's live?
the Pink Pill pastor. Yeah, that was wild.
She was like, yeah, I caught her in a live talking shit, and I scrolled past and I scrolled right back, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, well, that's an unfortunate event. But I had to drop somebody, and then I gave the warning, Crystal. I'm like, listen, we want to have conversation, we want to have discourse, but if you're going to disrespect any of the women on this panel, I'm going to make sure that the next woman you run into is your mama, because you're going to have to cry in her lap. I am not playing with you.
Yeah.
Like, do not disrespect women when I'm around. I'm sorry. We totally got off topic, Crystal.
That's okay. That's okay.
Hey, Crystal, it's 11 a.m. Sunday with
Yeah.
Jerry.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Let me
Sunday?
double check.
Javarius is so funny.
I love Javarius. Oh my god. Okay.
Listen, Lewis, this is a big boundary for me, and it has nothing to do with you.
Yes.
So
Pacific time.
take this with respect. Do not tell me you love me. I do not know you. Like, if you don't know my English name, then I don't know you. Likely, if you do know not my English name, but you talk to me off app, and I've had lots of conversations with you, and you tell me you love me, that'll be different. But I don't even know you, and so that's the boundary for me. You can say you have empathy for me, or you are. I am telling you, or you like what I teach. But it is really uncomfortable. It is really uncomfortable for someone to tell me they love me when I don't know them.
Rabbi, you said you live on the West Coast. I'm actually thinking about
I actually live not too well. I live in the same general area that Crystal does.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just met somebody earlier that's from Dallas that he wants to go have lunch. Jaron and I are supposed to go to his favorite Mexican restaurant.
You know, you should also
that's
look
cool.
at JTP. JTP is out in Texas.
I think is he? I'm not sure where he is. I don't want to dox him, but I told AZ Mike that we'd FaceTime him if we meet up.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Do you know who that is? He's like
I'm in Cali, babe.
he's like a big Jaron super fan.
I do not. I don't get a chance often to be in Jaron's live or listen anymore. It's just based on my work. I try to catch him whenever I can. I see him, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go listen while I can. But I don't get to see him as often as I used to.
Did you ever talk to Bob by Blood?
Bob by Blood and I are mutuals. You mean John?
Yeah.
Yeah,
John. He was in Born Again Atheist Live last night, and like a lot of people were kind of like, I don't know. I feel like there's some people that are really good faith, and I think he's definitely one of them. But like people were like lambasting him in the comments, so like I see how like maybe my behavior kind of influenced that.
I've had people who invite me into lives to specifically debate John, and I'm like, but what he's saying right now is not actually incorrect. And when it is incorrect, we talk about it. But right at this moment, and if you're calling me to try and run somebody,
Right.
like, it wouldn't be John. John had never been anything but respectful, even when we disagree. And I say, well, the facts say this. This is what the data says. He will say, I don't see it that way. Okay, well then we disagree on that point. But he's never been like, you're wrong and you're going to hell. So
Right. It's never like violent or aggressive.
no, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's really peaceful.
I was down here. Where did I go? I missed. Okay, so you went to 55 already. No, you were still at 51, right?
Yeah, we went through 55.
We went through 55. Okay, so yes. So they can pay for their redemption. If there's a few years less until Jubilee, they have to compute that and pay for their redemption accordingly. This is also like when the gentleman asked me earlier, what happens if you know the 7 years is coming up?
Yeah.
The 7 years is going to be different for every person. So even though every 7 years there's a Schmidt year, If you come in like in the middle of that cycle, you still are going out in the Shmini year. So
Yeah, and I would suppose if I'm selling myself into slavery, let's say to you, okay, because I'm in debt or whatever, and I come to you and it's the 5th year, you're not going to pay as much for me as you would have paid like if I came to you in the 1st year, right? You know what I mean?
that's exactly it. And that's what they're saying is if you, as an Israelite, you sold yourself to a foreigner, the law says because they're living on in your land that this is how the calculations would be for to redeem that person back from a foreigner who owns them.
Can you sell a debt indentured servant?
Can you sell an indentured servant? That is a good question. No, you can only sell slaves. But what I'm saying is, if a Hebrew was sold themselves to a foreigner in your midst, because that is what 51 to 55 is talking about. It's saying that if your fellow Israelite got into debt and sold themselves to a foreigner, that any member of the flesh and blood family of the Hebrew could go and buy him back. Basically saying, hey, what was his debt? What did he sell you? What was the amount he has to work off? We're going to pay you that and take back our kinsman.
Okay.
Now, if they work there for like 3 years and they find out and show up and go, hey, we're going to buy back our kinsman, the foreign owner has to calculate how much of the debt was paid off due to the labor of the last 3 years.
Yeah, so 3/7 of the debt is paid off. I'm gonna pay 4/7, and he's gonna go.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, something of that nature. Yeah, and say, hey, we're going to pay the rest of the debt and we're taking him back with us. That kind of thing.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, well, fair.
I mean, it's fair.
Yeah.
For what it was. It's fair for what it was.
You sell women Hebrews. So, like, if you're the owner of the Hebrew woman slave didn't like her, he could sell her to someone else, or ask her family to buy her back. That would be the redeeming of them. Or he says, I'm going to sell her to somebody else. I'm going to gift her as a wife to somebody else. He could do that. Yeah.
When it comes to Exodus 21:7, can they let her go?
Exodus 21:7. Hold on, let me pull it up. And I think I know what you're talking about.
This says you can't sell her.
Oh, but you could give her away.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes, you could give her away as a wife to someone. Generally, it's like 2 years.
Slay, come back up if you want.
Gotcha.
Where is it? I just had it.
Anytime I see myself blocked on somebody's profile who's like adding me, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Right?
So that would be yeah. So are you stopping at 55, Crystal?
Nope, I'm moving on to 26 if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. You shall make for yourselves no idols, and erect no carved images or pillars, and you shall not place figured stones in your land to worship at them. For I am the Lord your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. I had a best friend who was Catholic, and she had this little Mother Mary statue in her house. And I was Protestant, and in our beliefs, you will have no statues like that. You won't have those. Those are idols. No little Jesuses sitting around, nothing like that. Okay, you can have a cross, but you couldn't have a Jesus or a Mary or anything
It seems
like that.
like an idol to me. Like a cross seems like an idol to me.
Yeah, I know, but it's Christian logic, okay? So, I was running around my friend's house and I knocked over the Mary and her hail broke off. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was just a little kid, right? But my friend came over and she goes, hurry, kiss it. And I was like, what? And she goes, kiss it. You have to kiss her. And I was like, I'm not kissing her. And she was like, you have to. I said, I can't, because that's an idol. And then, there are two little kids arguing over whether you need to kiss Mary or don't do it because she's an idol. So, according to Jewish belief, should I have kissed Mary or was she an idol?
Okay, so if you're asking me, here's the thing. If to kiss Mary meant that you were going to worship Mary, then yes, idol. if you were trying to respect that you were in somebody else's house and adhering to their culture, as is told by the text that says when you're in someone else's land, you are supposed to adhere to their culture, then no.
Oh. Oh,
Crystal,
yeah.
Crystal, wait. Okay, you didn't get me. DM me if you want to do like an interview or something.
Okay, I will. I'm gonna DM you. My calendar got full, so I didn't DM you yet, but I need to fill it up again. So I will.
Have you done Justin, Mezzo,
Oh,
Rabbi, both rabbis?
Okay.
I have Rabbi Bert was one of my first before I
Yeah.
ever called it Decon Q&A with CrystalJae, but I do want to have him back on.
Yeah, and I know she did one with me. She's done one with Justin. She's done one with Mezzo. In fact, thank you for reminding me, because I do a series of interviews for my Patreon called Sacred Chaos, and I got to get a hold of Justin. I've already lined up Dan McClellan, Josh Bowen.
Holy shit!
Kip
By the
Taylor.
way,
Justin is my guest on Friday, by the way. He will be back.
what time?
Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I have Thursday, I have Matthew, you know Matthew, right? Matthew discussing beliefs. He will be my guest at 8 a.m. So tomorrow at 8 a.m. with Matthew, and then Friday at 11 a.m. with Justin.
Amazing. That's a great lineup.
Sunday.
It's a great lineup.
And
So
then Sunday is Jay Gilmore, you know,
so Matthew, Justin, and Jay.
And I got to talk to Miriam. See, now you're making me think. I've got to email Miriam, and I'm trying really hard to get the balls up to email Francesca and Candida to see if I can interview.
Wow.
I never knew Megan until I saw her in a video with Dr. Josh the other day.
Yeah, that's his wife. Megan's his wife. She's an archaeologist.
Yeah, so your wife's an anthropologist, right?
Well, my wife, so it's different here than it is in the UK. So that's where Megan's from. In the UK, one can go to college, to university, just to become an archaeologist. But here in the United States, you have to become an anthropologist and then specialize in archaeology, because the U.S. believes that in order to understand archaeology, you first have to understand human culture and the deep past, hence anthropology. So my wife is an anthropologist, archaeologist. So
Got
that
it.
is.
So it's both.
Yeah. So
Well, that's a couple of great power couples. So.
Oh yeah, I know. And earlier, like we were talking. In fact, yesterday she and I were talking because she's in the middle of her master's program.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm thinking of going back to Harvard for a few classes.
She's got a wonderful accent too.
Who, Megan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And my wife is like, oh really? And I'm like, yeah. I got to catch up with some biblical scholarship that I feel like I am not always on the forefront, and you know me, I have to be. And so she said, that's one of the places she's thinking about applying to when she transfers over. Either that, or she said the University of Colorado, because their anthropology department is like.
That's not ironic that you said that, because I'm wearing my Garden of the Gods shirt today. But I can only imagine
I was
how.
married at the Garden of the Gods.
You told me that. I actually.
Where's the Garden of the Gods?
You never been there?
Colorado.
Oh no, I've never been to Colorado.
I'm gonna show you a picture real quick and then I'll go. But that's about an hour from where my mom lives. That's like I really love that spot. That was a nice little trip. Colorado is chill as fuck. It's just expensive.
I've never been.
Never?
Nope.
Colorado's, I mean, just it's exactly what you think it is. It's very chill. What the hell was I gonna say? But yeah, Crystal, if you want, well, I guess I don't have a picture of that.
I'll make it big. Oh, you don't have it?
Well, this is just my mom. I put some pictures.
Oh, she's beautiful.
That's my mom.
Aw.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she would have me. Her birthday was last week. She would have me tell you that she's 35.
Well, it looks like she's 35 to me.
Yeah, that would make her a year older than me. So unless she's immaculate conception type beat, that would be impossible. But yeah,
She's Benjamin Button.
there it is, and that was a sad movie.
I absolutely love you, but you were taking over Crystal's Bible.
No,
Boo me.
it's fine. He and I never gonna talk. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
a live of mine so he can help be in one of mine. I would love to have him. Okay, so where was I? Where were you? I
ran. We're going to be in chapter 26, verse 1. You shall make for yourselves no idols and erect no. Oh, we just did this. Okay, so verse 3. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were asking me about whether or not if you would kiss the Holy Mary. Yeah. Just depends on the intent.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing.
Because her intent was that she is the Holy Mother Mary of God, and this little statue embodies her. And in my little Protestant thing is we are not to worship Mary, and kissing that would indicate that I was worshiping Mary. So I was like, I can't. And then I don't think my mom would have cared if I had kissed it. She would not have cared one way or the other. But she was proud to find out that I stood up for what I believed to be true.
I love that. No, but I love that.
All right, verse 3. If you follow my statutes and keep my commandments and observe them faithfully, I will give you your rains in their season, and the land shall yield its produce, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshing shall overtake the vintage, and the vintage shall overtake the sowing. You shall eat your bread to the full, and live securely in your land. And I will grant peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and no one shall make you afraid. I will remove dangerous animals from the land, and no sword shall go through your land. You shall give chase to your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. 5 of you shall give chase to 100, and 100 of you shall give chase to 10,000. Your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. I will look with favor upon you and make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will maintain my covenant with you. You shall eat old grain long stored, and you shall have to clear out the old to make way for the new. I will place my dwelling in your midst, and I shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be their slaves no more. I have broken the bars of your yoke and made you walk erect. There's that. He just got to remind you again one more time. Who brought you out of the land of Egypt? I did. That was me. So if you obey the statutes and you do everything, God's going to really bless you. He's going to take care of you. You're not going to want for anything. It looks like you won't be hungry. And you'll have a big family, and everything will be great. Is that the message that I'm getting?
It is partly, but I want to give you a little background here. If you notice in verse 3, it says Ani. I won't say the tetragrammaton, but it says Ani, Elohetekum, Elohekim, which means, I am. So that's Ani, your Lord God. But what's interesting is the use of both the El, the God El, and the tetragrammaton in the Hebrew. So it says
in verse 3?
13. In verse 13.
Oh, okay, verse 13. I was in the wrong verse.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'll get back to you. Okay, so it says Ani Yahweh Elohekim, which means I am your Lord God. But the interesting background of that is that you're actually being seen with two gods right there in 13, both the Yahweh and El.
So we have El and
right here
and God.
Now, this is one of the issues is that at some point, of course, they get merged together. But even in that merging, there are echoes of El still present within the text because of the use of El as not only a name, but as a delineation for just God.
Okay.
So, like here, Ani Yahweh Elohekim is literally using both that El. So it's like it's like an echo of the fact that at one point they were distinct, and so there are still remnants of the God El within the biblical text that you find in places.
Okay. That is really good point to bring up there. I like that. Um, But if you will not obey me and do not observe all these commandments, if you spurn my statutes and abhor my ordinances, so that you will not observe all my commandments and you break my covenant, I in turn will do this to you. I will bring terror on you, consumption and fever that waste the eyes and cause life to pine away. You shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemy shall eat it. I will set my face against you, and you shall be struck down by your enemies. Your foes shall rule over you, and you shall flee though no one pursues you. That's bad. And if in spite of this you will not obey me, I will continue to punish you sevenfold for your sins. I will break your proud glory, and I will make your sky like iron and your earth like copper. Your strength shall be spent to no purpose. Your land shall yield its produce. Your land shall not yield its produce, and the trees of the land shall not yield their fruit. So now, if you don't obey my statutes, which in turn means you abhor my statutes, you're not appreciate you don't appreciate what I'm laying down. Okay, then everything's gonna go to shit for you. You're gonna even become paranoid at this point.
Yeah, so we see these yeah, there are some cycles here that we see here. So of course you see the opening warning in 14:15. If you don't obey me and you don't do my commandments, if you spurn my statutes, abhor my ordinances, then you're going to be struck down. So then we see the first cycle of punishment happen in 16:17. The key line here being "V'nachrevim lefin oyavechim." You shall be struck down before your enemies. The second cycle is still like if you don't listen, that's 18 to 20, then you're going to be punished sevenfold. Remember that 7 is a huge deal within Judaism. The sky, iron, land like bronze, meaning that you will not be able to plant in it because the land is going to be like bronze. The sky will give you no air, this type of thing. You see a third cycle in 21 to 22, a fourth cycle in 23 to 26, and ultimate judgment is what we culminate in 27 through 33.
Okay.
And then 34 to 35 is when we get to the land's rest. So it's like, hey, all of this shit's going to happen. If you keep it up, the ultimate judgment is going to happen. And then we shift right over to, now we have to talk about the Sabbath of the land.
Okay. So I know this is a funny question, but I have wanted to know for a long time. Do you think that the sevens on slot machines are based on how 7 was so prevalent in the Bible that they knew that would be something people were maybe a little superstitious for as like a favorite number?
I want to tell you, I don't know. That's an interesting premise, but I am not sure. I would not be able to answer that.
I would have to look that up sometime.
When I lived in Vegas, I was always looking for the 3 cherries. I was just like, come on, give me cherries.
Okay, verse 21. If you continue hostile to me and will not obey me, I will continue to plague you sevenfold for your sins. I will let loose wild animals against you, and they shall bereave you of your children and destroy your livestock. They shall make you few in number, and your roads shall be deserted. That sounds pretty serious there. Like, so keep these commandments. Your kids are gonna get eaten up by bears, and so is your livestock. Like, I don't know. I picture bears for some reason. All right, number 23 through 26. If in spite of these punishments you have not turned back to me, but continue hostile to me, then I too will continue hostile to you. I myself will strike you sevenfold for your sins. I will bring the sword against you, executing vengeance for the covenant. And if you withdraw within your city, I will send pestilence among you, and you shall be delivered into enemy hands. When I break your staff of bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in a single oven, and they shall dole out your bread by weight, and though you eat, you shall not be satisfied. Okay, I really want to know more about that verse. Like, 10 women are going to do this.
Hold on a second. Where am I?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, when I break your staff of bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in a single oven, and they shall dole out your bread by weight. and though you eat it, you shall not be. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be kind of a vivid image of like siege conditions. Also, like scarcity, rationing, no satisfaction, hence the 10 women. You know, they're not going to be satisfying to you. You're not going to be satisfied even with these women, even with the amount of food that they give you, the amount of bow chicka wow wow, like brown chicken, brown cow that they give you. You will not be satisfied because of your disobedience. It's like vengeance.
Okay.
Vengeance for the covenant. The breaking of Torah is not just the disobedience here. It's like a betrayal of the relationship that you have between the nation and God.
I feel like this is all kind of like a prenuptial agreement.
It is. No, in a way it is. Often Israel is portrayed as the bride of
Right.
and so this is kind of like that marriage contract that says, you know, I will provide this to you, and you're gonna provide this to me. If for some reason you don't, then this is if this happens, then this, you know, follows. That is really what this is. It's called the holiness code, but it is really setting up this idea of like a prenuptial. That those kind of marriage contracts that Jews do to this day, we call it a ketubah, where literally it goes into how the partners are going to treat each other during the duration of their marriage and what happens if they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, and you know, for me, this God just seems like a very abusive husband who's like, if
Yep.
you don't look, like, I feel like he's like, you know what? My people or my bride keeps leaving me, and she's such a whore.
Well,
And then he's like, come back to me, you know, and they come back sometimes, but then they're like, I don't know, you know, I like that guy over there, he's kind of cute. And then he's like, come back to me, you stiff-necked, you know, biatch.
absolutely. And part of that is that these people are used to, again, this is kind of behind the scenes, like based on the actual understanding of the gods. They're used to El. El is a god that is not presented as being someone who is malevolent, who is cruel or has these things. El is the benevolent kind of older statesman who is there to listen and heal. This is why there's no like God is all loving or God isn't, because the God that we see in the text is almost bipolar. And that is because when the Yahweh comes in, Yahweh is that angry, vengeful, younger storm deity that is like, you will do what I say because you do because I want you to. And we have now the when we have then these people who are used to El, who has been like more gentle with them, been more like understanding, and now you just they've been given to this, absolutely, these absolute, you know, this God who is trying to learn what kind of God to be, but starts out very brash, egotistical, and, you know, hey, I'm your God now, you will do as I say. Even the rabbis are gay now. That's true. Sorry, Fred. Wish you could be so cool.
Yeah. I think that Fred should know that the rabbis have always been gay. Like, gay people exist. They're in every aspect of our life, sir. I don't know how you don't know that. Okay, verse 27. But if despite this you disobey me and continue hostile to me, I will continue hostile to you in fury. I in turn will punish you myself sevenfold for your sins. You shall eat the flesh of your sons, and you shall eat the flesh of your daughters. I will destroy your high places and cut down your incense altars. I will heap your carcass on the carcasses of your idols. I will abhor you. I will lay your cities waste. I will lay your cities waste, will make your sanctuaries desolate, and I will not smell your pleasing odors. I will devastate the land so that your enemies who come to settle in it shall be appalled at it, and you I will scatter among the nations, and I will unsheath the sword against you. Your land shall be a desolation, and your cities a waste.
Now, we see here the escalation is intensifying. Now, God's hostility is in fury. You know, there is the cannibalism in siege, of course, from verse 29, and that's the image of desperation. We see it repeated again in Deuteronomy 28, 53 through 57, and then fulfilled in Lamentations 2:20 and 4:10. And of course, the cultic destruction, so sanctuaries, incense stands, idols destroyed, and the high places. The high places are speaking to places where El, by the way, not Yahweh, where El was being worshipped. So El didn't have temples. El had high places like we find in Megiddo, in Tel Arad, that were worshipped side by side with Asherah. So this, I am going to destroy the sanctuaries that you're used to meeting at with this God. I'm going to destroy the stands like at Tel Arad, the idols, Asherah, even though she's not an idol, and the total collapse of religious life for you. I'm going to.
You cut out on me.
If you do not do what I say.
Yeah, and then the last part over again.
Oh yeah, so basically, like I mentioned, all of these places that are being described as being destroyed, if you don't do what I say, were places where Canaanites and early Israelites met El.
Okay.
So this is kind of I'm going to take over those places and destroy them if you don't do what I say. I'm going to destroy the high places everywhere you're used to worshiping will be gone.
All right. 34. Then the land shall enjoy its Sabbath years as long as it lies desolate while you are in the land of your enemies. Then the land shall rest and enjoy its Sabbath years. As long as it lies desolate, it shall have the rest it did not have on your Sabbaths when you were living on it. And as for those of you who survive, I will send faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies. The sound of driven leaf shall put them to flight, and they shall flee as one flees from the sword, and they shall fall though no one pursues. They shall stumble over one another as if to escape a sword, though no one pursues. And you shall have no power to stand against your enemies. You shall perish among the nations, and the land of your enemies shall devour you. And those of you who survive shall languish in the land of your enemies because of their iniquities. Also, they shall languish because of the iniquities of their ancestors.
Yep. So some of this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Crystal.
No, I do want to ask about, like, this is the second, set of verses where he's making them, like, as one of the things that will happen, one of the consequences is that they will be paranoid. What's the significance of that, if anything? Like, they're going to run, but nobody's really going to be chasing
It's to give them the idea that they will be people that are broken, so to the point that you're always going to be on edge. You're always going to have this anxiety ridden, this anxiety and terror and paranoia that you cannot get away from, you cannot calm yourself from. And it does end in that curses, like of total collapse, people exiled, the land desolate, your spirit being broken. And in this section, it portrays the land itself as its own character. Not just the people, the land is a character. When Israel is gone, then the land will be able to replenish and have the Sabbaths it's been missing, the Shemitah and Yovel it's been missing. So then exile, you almost like the psychology of exile is that paranoia, that terror, that paranoia, and then the judgment, survivors wasting away in foreign lands under the weight of their own sins, and those are their ancestors, means now you have to be in foreign lands where you have no rule, where you will be oppressed. You will have no rights in these other lands. You're going to have to deal with the fact that you messed up, and now this is the consequences. Again, it's that if this happens, this follows.
Also, in verse 36, okay, like, I want to know, does this have to do with the fact that they're talking about the lands where it says, it says, and as for those of you who survive, I will send faintness into their hearts in the lands of their enemies. The sound of a driven leaf shall put them to flight. Is that to tie in the land?
Sort of. It also is to say that at the lightest thing, like the sound of a leaf.
Oh.
Like the sound of something
okay.
so innocuous is going to incense these people and send them after you. Like, those days where, somebody's just breathing and it fucking pisses you off and you're like, why are you breathing like that? Huh?
Yes.
Why are you breathing like
I
that?
I'm a very jumpy person, and so, and I think it has a lot to do with ADHD because I'll get hyper focused on whatever I'm doing. So if you walk in the room, even though I know there's other people who live here, it always startles me. And my first husband used to always tell me, like, that's because you're guilty of something. Only people who are guilty would jump every time, somebody walks into the room.
I have that too, though. I have a my startle reflex is really sensitive. I could
Yeah,
actually
mine's-
see somebody in front of me, but when they talk, I'm like, ah! And they're like, I was standing right here. I'm like, I know. No, I don't know what to tell you.
So my daughter walked in the kitchen the other day, and it startled me. And I went, and she said, "So you're seeing another daughter, are you?"
There it
I
is.
just thought that was hilarious. So yeah, I would be startled by a leaf for sure. That would happen. Okay, verse 40. But if they confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their ancestors, in that they committed treachery against me, and moreover, that they continued hostile to me, so that I in turn continued hostile to them, and brought them into the land of their enemies, if then their uncircumcised heart is humbled, and they make amends for their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob. I will remember also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land. For the land shall be deserted by them, and I'm sorry. For the land shall be deserted by them, and enjoy its Sabbath years by lying desolate without them, while they shall make amends for their iniquity, because they dared to spurn my ordinances, and they abhorred my statutes. Yet for all that, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not spurn them or abhor them, so as to destroy them utterly and break my covenant with them. For I am the Lord their God, but I will remember in their favor the covenant with their ancestors, whom I brought out of the land of Egypt in the sight of the nations, to be their God. I am the Lord. One thing that I have to say, a God who, it bothers me that this God reminds his people constantly that he freed them from slavery. Constantly, that's the one thing he keeps saying to them. I freed you. I am the one who made it so you are no longer slaves. And then he goes and tells them how to get slaves. It just bothers me. And if Christians believe this is a God for everybody, like the whole story doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in a Christian perspective, because why would there be other nations to take slaves from if he's a God for everybody? Why would there be a difference? Why, you know what I mean? Like that just doesn't make sense to me.
Because he wasn't.
Yeah.
The reason is because, as we see, God or El gives Israel to Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The other nations have nothing to do with Yahweh. They're ruled by their own gods. Baal, they're ruled by Moab. They're ruled by these other gods that have nothing to do with Yahweh. So Yahweh doesn't give two shits if Baal's people have what's going on, because he's not the ruler of them. He's only the God who was given and commissioned to Israel. But if you want that, yeah, I was going to say, like Nathan just said here, but if you're looking for the text to be inerrant and have univocality, then you have to accept there's a bunch of contradictions. But if you understand that this is talking about one people group, and then the rest of the people groups belong to their own domain, their own gods, and they are the property of their other gods' domain, then it makes a little more sense.
Yes. Yeah. Was there anything else in that part that you wanted us to know about?
You know what I did? Hold on, let me pull it up. I was like taking a couple of notes here. So the theme here, we end up kind of like, if you confess, then we get this like renewal that begins. The acknowledgments of what you've gone wrong, ancestrally and personally. You have to humble yourself. The uncircumcised heart must soften in exile. I hate that line, because it's basically saying unclean. Because if you are not circumcised, you are considered unclean. You're separated from the people. So it's kind of
Yeah.
giving this idea that one, you're unclean and you're being separated from me because you have not done this. And then the covenant is remembered. I remember that I am the God of Abraham. I've had this covenant with Isaac. I have this covenant with Jacob. So this covenant will endure. And then again, the land being an actual character. The land itself then is a covenant partner between Israel and the Yotevate. Even in desolation, God is trying to remember the land is a partner. I cannot take out on the land because of you. So then exile is not the end here. He's refusing to annul the covenant completely and is trying to find a way to then almost bring it back to like a restoration promise at this point. If you do these things, I can restore you, and and this is how we will make the covenant endure.
Okay. All right. Verse 46, and we're going to finish Leviticus today. Okay. These are the statutes and ordinances and laws that the Lord established between himself and the people of Israel on Mount Sinai through Moses. Before I continue with chapter 27, you guys, first of all, thank you all for being here. If you can continue to tap the screen, share out the live, do all the good things, I really appreciate it. Make sure that you're gifting Rabbi Hannah, because she is sharing her knowledge with us for free, and that's pretty fucking amazing. Rabbi Bert keeps talking about how I should read this book, and I have it written down, but it's like Revisiting Mount Sinai. Is written by a woman who is like, I know you know the book, where she thinks that you guys should revisit Mount Sinai because women were not a part of the covenant. They weren't even allowed to be touched. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know the book?
What was it? One more time?
There's a book written by a woman, and I'm sure I don't have the name right, but it's about revisiting Mount Sinai to include women in the covenant.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but I'm gonna look real quick.
I wonder if I have it in my messages with Bird or something.
I'm trying to see if I can find it here. The Sisters of Sinai? No, those are Scottish
No.
women. I'm thinking of somebody else. No, that's Jill Hammer. I know that one. That's a completely different one. Oh, you're talking about Judith Plaskow.
I think so. That sounds
Yes.
familiar.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Judith Plaskow writes a book about what I have the book too. I don't know why I didn't remember it. Where is it?
Standing again
Standing
at
Again
Sinai.
at Sinai. Yes, Judith Plaskow.
Yes.
She is a huge and wonderful midrashist. And yes, she is talking. She also writes a book about Lilith becoming friends with Eve at the edge of Gan Eden before they're exiled out of Gan Eden. Yeah, she's an amazing author.
But so what are your thoughts on that? I have not read it yet. Rabbi Bert told me I would probably like it. I would probably appreciate it. So it is on my reading list now.
Yeah, no, it's a good book.
Hey, Solo Nova. Hey, Solo, how are you? You guys, we are in Leviticus chapter 27. This is our last chapter today. We will start next week in Numbers. My favorite story to tell about the book of Numbers is one time Joyful and I were debating, and this woman came up and we were talking to her about something in the book of Numbers or whatever. So we were telling her, oh, it's, there's, blah, blah, blah. And she said, where is that? And we said, it's in Numbers. And she goes, no, what book is it in? And I said, the book of Numbers. The book is called Numbers. And she said, there is not a book called Numbers. And she got really
No, I mean, in Hebrew it's called Bamidbar.
Oh, it is. Well, she did not speak Hebrew, I assure you.
Yeah, so in Hebrew, Genesis is Bereshit. Let's see, Genesis, what's the next one? Leviticus, Exodus is Shemot, Numbers is Bamidbar, Leviticus is Vayekara, and Deuteronomy is Devarim.
I knew Bereshit because I've heard you tell people, like, from Bereshit to...
Bereshit Ba'ara Elohim. Yeah.
Yes.
At the beginnings of the creation, when the world was wild and waste. Or at the beginnings of God creating, when the world was wild and waste. There it is.
Hey, Jaren, how are you today?
Doing good, doing good.
I was just talking about you, and here you appear.
Oh,
it was
well,
messed up, by the way.
yeah.
I was not saying anything terrible. Just that I don't see you live as much because of my work in the morning, and you're generally live in the morning.
And we were just talking about Rav also, so their ears were burning or something.
I guess so. Well, I just came up really quick just to share a little quick story that happened to me that involves Crystal.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah. So, it was sometime, I believe it was last week or maybe even further back a little bit, when I was, last time I was up here on your panel. And I had my phone out. I was actually driving at the time, but I was on the live here with you, and I was on my way to go pick up my daughter from school. And I got there early and just kind of sat there and everything, was on the phone. And she comes out of school, and I was in the middle of a conversation there with you. And so I knew I couldn't really end the live just abruptly or anything like that. She gets in the car, and I sort of kind of start driving home, still live, still in the conversation with you. And because I was on my phone and I couldn't use the Bluetooth because of echoes and stuff like that and delay, I had, the volume was up so I could hear you, and you started responding to me, and you used the F word, and and it was, and normally, like if I'm listening to certain songs on the radio, I'm really quick on that, like volume down, that kind of thing, with the kids in the car. But my daughter, she goes, she doesn't usually, cuss or anything like that, but she goes, did that grandma just say the F word? And I was like, yeah, this is Crystal. Yeah, she's pretty cool, And she's like, that is the coolest grandma ever. And I was like, okay. And so every time she's seen me on TikTok or anything like that, she'll be like, is Crystal on there? Is Crystal on there? Because it's so cool. Well, so you've got a 14-year-old fan over here in North Texas who thinks that you are one cool grandma.
Well, you know what? I do go to Texas to see my grandkids, so maybe someday we.
There we go. Yeah, but I mean, so her, just full disclosure, like her grandparents are deeply religious on both sides, so they would never even be anywhere near as like cool, like. So it was just something that really kind of caught her off guard, but she was pretty cool, and I told her that Crystal is awesome, and she listened to the conversation that you and I were having, and really learned quite a bit there. So it was really cool. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for bringing me up that day and everything. It was awesome.
Well, Jared, thank you. Thank you for when you helped me on your show too. You guys, if you are following Christ Before Jesus, Jared, I don't know what you're doing. He co-wrote the book Christ Before Jesus, and he is so freaking knowledgeable. Plus, they're writing another book, and they're going to be on my show very soon.
Yes.
On Q&A with CrystalJae. So make sure you're following.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna hop down, but thank you.
Before you go, Jaron,
Oh,
you
yeah.
were you were the punchline of a joke that was told the other day in a great way. So a construct that is used in biblical Hebrew and in modern Hebrew is a gerund construct.
Like a verb as a noun.
Exactly. And so you were referenced throughout that conversation, just so you're aware.
That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I that's great. I all that I can hope to be is some form of a sentence somewhere. As long as I am a form or a part of a sentence and not actually serving a sentence, I should be fine.
You're doing it.
I will tell you, I personally strive to be a verb. I really do. You got Rabbi Hana is completely fine with me. I'm happy to be a
You
verb.
got Rabbi on it. That'd be
Well,
awesome.
I'm a
Would be
drug,
the
so
gerund.
Yes.
I'm a drug. I beat all of you.
Oh my god. Oh my god. All right. And on that
I
note,
win.
And a champagne.
You don't
Oh.
have to
Okay,
follow
I
me
am
right
back.
now, do you, Jaron?
say what?
I said you don't have to follow me right now, do you?
No comment?
Not listening.
And I will make sure that I don't say what I would normally say. I will be of my nonsense.
Oh my gosh, what is happening? All right, well, I do have to go. But thank you to
Jared,
everyone.
have a good day.
I
That's
think
okay.
I haven't used. You used me as a verb, Nathan? All right. I just found out that there's something called Rabbi Hanakor, and I did not know this until I got
That
sent
is
it.
so funny.
Yeah,
That
Rabbi,
is
a
awesome.
rabbinical student I know messaged me and asked if I could come out and do Kol Nidre for a large event in LA. And she said, I'm putting it together and I get to choose the rabbi and I want you. And I was like, oh, I'm just a schmuck. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, I really want you. And I said, okay. She goes, oh, by the way, you're now, you're Rabbi Hanakor. And I'm like, what's that? So she sent me pictures at an event she went to. She has on a hat just like mine. She's got the same exact tallest I have. And she goes, and people ask me, hey, do you happen to know Rabbi Hana? You're also Sephardic. You must know Rabbi Hana. And she's like, well, while Sephardim don't always know each other, I actually do know Rabbi Hana. It's like, okay.
Hey, Rab, how are you?
Hello. Well, thanks. I assume you're probably ending pretty soon. What did you all cover today?
We are
The covenant.
Go ahead, Rabbi.
So basically, we went through, slave stuff and the Shemitah year, the Jubilee year, the laying fallow, the slave versus indentured servitude, and also the loyalty to God, blessings for obedience, focus for the disobedience, like the escalating cycles that you see, hope for restoration, the covenant seal. And in fact, I was going to say the closing verse for Leviticus 26 is a colophon marking the end of the holiness code. It ties blessings and curses back directly to Mount Sinai and to Moses, and using them as the covenantal law, not just ritual instruction.
And we're now in chapter 27. We're in the final chapter of Leviticus.
I wanted to add just
finally.
2 things about the. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I had 2 things. Are you going to keep reading, or are you done?
Yeah, I'm gonna read 27.
Oh, amazing! Can I add 2 things about the Shemitah really quickly?
Yes.
Okay, great. So first is that there is this. GT told me about this. A wonderful biologist on this app and good friend. GT told me that if a field it uses the same crop, and you do not rotate the crops or the field any rest in 7 years, the
Mhm.
field becomes toxic to the point that nothing will ever grow in it again.
That is,
And the number is 7 years for any crop,
yeah, a farmer can tell you.
which is
Yeah,
pretty wild.
probably
Yeah.
properly.
And then the other thing was that I think I have a delay, so I apologize if I'm over talking. Just tell me to shut the hell up. But the other thing was when Jews started to come back and create kibbutzim in Israel, like in the modern state of Israel, they wanted to recreate the Shemitah laws. So they planted things and they waited 5 years in order to consume the fruit. But then they waited on the 7th year. They allowed the fields to grow over and let their storehouses sit. And what rotted became fertilizer, and they realized that there was a benefit to allowing that to rot and become fertilizer for the next growth cycle, which is, I think, pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's called regenerative
That
farming.
is.
Yeah, so the cover crops, like when you said the grow over, what happens is those cover crops protect the soil and allow underneath the nutrients to rebuild itself, and especially if you leave those overgrowths to die out and just till them back into the soil, you're revitalizing the soil for your next rotation of planting. Sorry, I'm a farmer.
It's awesome.
Yeah, my
All right.
my grandfather was a dairy farmer, and I learned all of like the farming techniques and regenerative farming and all that stuff growing up with him.
You guys, we have 41 of you in here. Can we get to 50,000 likes by the time we're done discussing chapter 27? I think you guys can do it. Just tap, tap, tap. Also, don't forget I have a gift goal and a subscriber goal, and I have amazing people on my panel, so make sure you gift it up for them as well. All right, here we go. Chapter 27. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when a person makes an explicit vow to the Lord concerning the equivalent for a human being, the equivalent for a male shall be from 20 to 60 years of age. The equivalent shall be 50 shekels of silver by the sanctuary shekel. If the person is a female, the equivalent is 30 shekels. If the age is from 5 to, if the age is from, where did I leave off? If the age is from 5 to 20 years of age, the equivalent is 20 shekels for a male and 10 shekels for a female. If the age is from 1 month to 5 years, the equivalent for a male is 5 shekels of silver, and for a female, the equivalent is 3 shekels of silver. And if the person is 60 years old or over, then the equivalent for a female is 15 shekels, and for a female 10 shekels. If any cannot afford the equivalent, they shall be brought before the priest, and the priest shall assess them. The priest shall assess them according to what each one making a vow can afford." What is this? What does this mean? Like, what am I doing with the baby and getting eaten? Like, I don't get it. What are we doing here?
Well, it's in part it is acknowledging a kind of a mutual fund for Israel, and in part it is I think placing shekels are a very small weight. It's the least amount of weight of silver, and so a nominal amount becomes a statement more than it is a substantial capital campaign, so to speak.
And let me explain to people. So a shekel is a measurement of weight, okay? And there was one shekel that had been calibrated, if you will, that was in the temple. And when they were comparing things, they compared it to the weight of that shekel to make sure nobody was, using a shekel that didn't, weigh the proper amount. It would make it fair. If you will, correct?
Correct. And Yeah, so like that's like a huge part of like what the concern is, like making sure that the weights and measurements are all equal. In fact, I just learned this the other day, and then I just got a text message that I have to make a phone call. I apologize. I'm just my life these days.
Fine,
But
that's all right. You
yeah,
never call.
yeah, I know, right? Uh, so France apparently had like thousands of different weights and currencies because there was no standardized weight. And so part of the French Revolution was this standardization of weights and measurements. Yeah, I've got to run. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
No problem. No problem,
It's
Rob.
great
Thanks
to
for
see you.
being here.
One day soon, I'll be able to study Torah with you all again.
Okay. I hope so. You guys make sure you're following Rab. Amazing rabbi and great guy. All right. Well, so Rabbi, explain to me a little bit more about what's going on here. I mean, is it that everybody has a value and then we pay that value into the temple? Like, I don't get what's going on here. Rabbi Hannah, are you still there?
Oh my gosh, I was talking and didn't realize it was muted this whole time. Holy crap.
That's okay.
So the narrators aren't trying to talk about, at least this is my perception of it, worth in God's eyes, but again, like most of Leviticus, practicality. So what is a practical system of monetary equivalent for vows, scaled then by age, sex, and adjusted for ability to pay? Now, it ties to this kind of idea of redeeming vows rather than leaving people bound indefinitely. And then, of course, the sanctuary shekel, as Rabbi Burt said, was what ensured the standardization, so that you couldn't say, well, it's 30 shekels, but based on my own understanding of what 30 shekels is. There's a standard weight and price put to, so everyone has to use the same standard.
So what vow am I doing here? I don't understand though. What is going on? What is this about?
So
what are they doing?
So what is happening here is like it is trying to say that there is a value to every person in Israel. The males are more valuable based on the idea that they can do heavier labor, et cetera, et cetera. Is it at all fair? Absolutely the fuck not. Are women valued less? Yes, because women were only seen as people who were there to help procreate and satisfy the male urge. So the reason the females are less worthy, and according to the age, this is also why you see aged up people lose their value, because they do not have the same value based on what physically they can accomplish versus someone who is younger.
So now, when did they do this? When did they pay this? And what does the vow mean? Like,
now, and it says this right there at the beginning. When a person makes an explicit vow to the Lord concerning the equivalent of a human being, so the equivalent for a human being, basically saying, part of it is about selling yourself too. Like, how much are you worth when you sell yourself into slavery, or when you're making a vow to somebody in terms that it would be a monetary, something monetary, that if you were to break it, how much would you have to pay for restitution? So, here is the rate, the going rate for a human being based on their age, gender, and their, physical ability, as well as their ability to pay money. Because, of course, this is talking about, if you're poor, what are we going to do here? So therein lies part of it, is that the idea of redeeming vows, I mean, how much am I going to pay you to buy back somebody, is part of it. So remember how earlier when I said, if you worked for 3 years, they're going to pay the rest of the debt if they're redeeming you. Some of this also is based on this. Well, I've paid off my debt, but every year it's based on what is my worth, what is my value that I can show I'm paying off. Because you're not actually getting paid when you're a slave or when you're in a debt. You're working off your debt. So in working off your debt, how much can we say you worked off per year based on how much you're worth by each shekel, the sanctuary shekel? Well, here's the table that we say a man is worth this much. So this much is how much per annum he has paid off in his debt. A woman is worth this much. So if she has been sold, this is what she has to be bought back. This is the amount of money you buy her back for. This is the amount of money you would buy a man back for, depending on their age, etc.
All right. That explains a lot. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Verse 9. If it concerns an animal that may be brought as an offering to the Lord, any such that may be given to the Lord shall be holy. Another shall not be exchanged or substituted for it, either good for bad or bad for good. And if one animal is substituted for another, both that one and its substitute shall be holy. If it concerns any unclean animal that may not be brought as an offering to the Lord, the animal shall be presented before the priest. The priest shall assess it, whether good or bad, according to the assessment of the priest, so it shall be. But if it is to be redeemed, 1/5 must be added to the assessment. I have no idea what they're talking about now.
Okay. So yeah, I was sorry. I've been trying to mute while I type. So I apologize. I'm like a few other notes here as well. So once a animal is vowed, it is now considered kodesh. It is now the holy animal. You cannot swap out this holy animal for one that has not been vowed. So you can't take it back. It's now the holy thing. You can't say, oh no, I decided I want you to have this other sheep instead. Now, by opposite, an unclean animal assessed by a priest can be redeemed, but yeah, basically, as I said, the one is holy. So if you want to buy it back, you cannot then replace it with one that has not been vowed because that's unclean. Now, if it's unclean and assessed by a priest, it can be bought back, but at a higher price. You have to get an extra 1/5 of the price because now it's an unclean animal.
Okay.
This is to try and prevent abuse. People can't vow a scrawny animal, then swap out for a better one, and later reclaim the cheap one that they vowed.
Okay.
So you can't vow this one. You cannot vow and say, well, I'm vowing you this one, okay? But then I'm going to swap for a better one later. I'm going to say, no, I want this one, and then, but I'm going to reclaim the cheap one that I gave you, so I don't have to pay premium price for the better one.
Yeah, okay. All right. It's to prevent a little bait and switch, if you will.
It is supposed to, it's meant to, it's backwards thinking, but it is meant to be a type of law code that prevents abuse of monetary abuse of your people who live in your midst and rely on you.
Okay. If a person consecrate a house to the Lord, the priest shall assess it, whether good or bad, as the priest assesses it, so it shall stand. And if the one who consecrates the house wishes to redeem it, 1/5 shall be added to its assessed value, and it shall revert to the original owner. How do you consecrate a house to the Lord? What is that?
So the priest will go in to the house, and there is a type of ritual that the priest will go in and do to show that it is dedicated to the Lord. The value of this house is now this. It has been dedicated to the Lord. And so this is the value the priest has put upon it. This is how much it's worth if you were to sell it.
Okay.
Is this much? And generally it is consecrated with oils, smudging, censoring, that type of thing. So once that has been consecrated, but you sell it, if you're the person who wants to buy it back, because you sold it, you have to actually pay more money for it because it's a consecrated house. So because it is appreciated in value, you have to pay a little more money for it.
Okay. If a person consecrates to the Lord any inherited landholding, its assessment shall be in accordance with its seed requirements, 50 shekels of silver to a homer of barley seed, If the person consecrates the field as of the year of Jubilee, that assessment shall stand. But if the field is consecrated after the Jubilee, the priest shall compute the price for it according to the years that remain until the year of Jubilee, and the assessment shall be reduced. And if the one who consecrates the field wishes to redeem it, then 1/5 shall be added to its assessed value, and it shall revert to the original owner. But if the field is not redeemed, or if it has been sold to someone else, it shall no longer be redeemable. But when the field is released in the Jubilee, it shall be holy to the Lord as a devoted field. It becomes the priest's holding. If someone consecrates to the Lord a field that has been purchased, which is not a part of the inherited landholding, the priest shall compute for it the proportionate assessment up to the year of Jubilee, and the assessment shall be paid as of that day, a sacred donation to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee, the field shall return to the one from whom it was bought, whose holding the land is. All assessments shall be by the sanctuary shekel. 20 gerahs shall make a shekel. Okay.
Okay, so
There's a lot more legalese.
in this, the houses and fields work the same way like animals. Consecrated property is valued, and the redemption requires a 20% increase because it is now consecrated and is considered holy and dedicated to the Lord. If you have inherited any kind of land, if it's been consecrated but has never been redeemed, never been bought back, at the end of that consecration, the land goes to the priests at Jubilee. If you have purchased the land, think of it as almost like property tax with the inherited land. If you have purchased the land and it's been consecrated, it will still go back to the original family, the family owner at Jubilee, and not to the original purchaser, because it was purchased and everything that is purchased goes back to the original. But if it's inherited, like it was passed down, then it goes to the priest. And of course, the standardization of the shekel is again with the ensuring fairness.
Okay. A firstling of animals, however, which as a firstling belongs to the Lord, cannot be consecrated by anyone, whether ox or sheep, it is the Lord's. If it is unclean animal, it shall be ransomed at its assessment, with 1/5 added. If it is not redeemed, it shall be sold at its assessment. So all firstlings belong to the Lord, but if it's unclean, then what do you do?
Let me take a look at this one more time.
Hey, Susan. Hi, Aaron. Hey, Chopperly. I don't know why I always want to add a Chopperelli in there. I want to make it like Italian or something. I want it to be Chopperelli.
Okay, so that's because it already, the firstlings all own to, or already owed to the Lord, so they cannot be double consecrated.
Right, right.
The animal, though, it shall be ransomed at its assessment with 1/5 added. If it is not redeemed, it shall be sold at its assessment. Let me take a look at this. Trying to remember why it uses the word ransom. Okay, so that's right. The reason it used ransom is because it's not acceptable for sacrifice. So a donkey or a camel. Because of that, the animal, such an animal dedicated to Yahweh has to be handled differently. So if the owner wants to keep it, it has to pay its assessed value plus 20%, hamish, a fifth part. It is not, if it's not redeemed, that redeeming being bought, then it is sold with the proceeds going to the sanctuary if the owner does not. Basically, again, it's a tax saying all your firstborn animals, you have to pay a certain amount of money. Okay? If it's an unclean animal, it costs more. If you say, hey, I'm not going to pay that money, then it's sold off. The money then goes to the priest, to the sanctuary.
And that kind of echoes like earlier rules preventing people from making vows that they could easily exploit. Again, like so that you don't get to redeem it at a lower price. The whole idea of redeeming is literally, you could see it as a taxation on your first anything, because all the first things belong to God. So you have to pay for that. In order to keep it, you have to pay for it. You want to keep your firstborn sheep? This is how much you pay for the firstborn sheep. Because it's an unclean camel, this is how much you would pay for it, but then you add 20% because it's an unclean animal. You don't want to pay that? Fine, then we'll auction it off, and that money is going to go to the temple.
Okay.
The ransom is the auctioning. That was like, wait, why do they use ransom here? It's the auctioning.
Okay. Nothing that a person owns that has been devoted to destruction for the Lord, be it human or animal or inherited landholding, may be sold or redeemed. Every devoted thing is most holy to the Lord. No human beings who have been devoted to destruction can be ransomed. They shall be put to death. What is that about?
Okay. When it says nothing the person devotes to the Lord for destruction from anything that belongs to him, whether human or animal field, may be sold. Every devoted thing is the most holy to God. And I remember it's like hold on a second. This one I might actually have to ask my mom. Hold on. I know I hate to do that to her, but she, like I said, she makes me look like I'm a monkey fucking a football. Hold on.
Well, Rabbi goes and asks mom that question. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the 32,000 likes. Thank you for the gifts and the shares and all the good stuff. I do have a gift goal today, but for some reason I'm in trouble pinning it. But I will pin it for you. If you can help me reach my gift goal, that would be awesome. If not, just doing all the good things. I just appreciate all the support. You guys are amazing. And we're finally going to be done with Leviticus, y'all. I just wanted to go through the Bible since there's so many smart people on the Bible on this app, and I wanted to learn more about it. So I thank you guys for joining me on Wednesdays as I go through the Bible.
That's right. Okay. So, including the human being. So this is everything to do with something that is called haram. That is something that is ultimately in the realm of God. Now, the reason it applies to human beings is, we have the idea of restitution. If you have harmed something, done something terrible, you have to provide restitution to the person who you've done harm to. If you have done something so harmful that you cannot at all commit restitution, then you are in this kind of category called haram. Because you're in this category called haram, the only way to redeem oneself is through death. That's it. Like, the only way to have that redemption is you have to, you have to unalive.
So would these be the people who, for instance, were caught in adultery and they're going to be stoned to death? Is that the kind of people they're talking about? Hey, Slice.
So the theological idea is if something is placed under haram, it entirely belongs to God. It no longer belongs to humans. Now, in warfare, this meant like spoils were not supposed to be taken. The destruction itself was the form of the sacrifice. In property, you cannot reclaim it. It cannot be sold. It is now forever set apart. No one can touch the land. In terms of like people, then it is like anything that a person is designated as haram is the most holy to Yahweh, Kodesh Kadashim. Now, if it's a person, it literally is this person. The only thing that can be redeemed, the only way this person can be redeemed is through being dedicated to Yahweh through death. So it could be very much like someone who has unalived another person purposely, someone who has committed so much heinous crime that there is no way they can make up for it. So the last act of redemption would be to send them to God. whereas they're set apart, but they're set apart to the point that nothing that they do could bring them back. You know, and when I talk about tshuva and the idea that it means a return to the better version of oneself, there is a point where you cannot commit tshuva. You have done something so unbelievably heinous. There is no coming back from that. So now, the only thing that can be done, you go to God.
You know, it's so funny that we talk about this because as a Christian, we see the word holy to mean something very good, like not just set apart, but only set apart because of good. But in this verse, we see that things can be set apart.
Absolutely. You're set apart because you can no longer be among the people. Because to be among the people, you would bring your, like, pollution to the people and to the land.
And so literally, something evil can be holy.
Yeah, can be so, and and here's the issue, because it is an expression of total holiness, but also a source of like that deep ethical wrestling with. Later traditions absolutely kind of soften the violence, but retain the sense of seriousness. So, like, we would no longer send someone to God, but to be harem means you have to go through quite a bit to cleanse oneself of the pollution that you have acquired because of what you have done.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. And in the Jewish belief, that person who is set apart for destruction, they're not going to a fiery pit of hell. We're sending them back to God, so God could purify them, right?
Yeah, so they go to God, and then they kind of explain themselves to God. That's the whole point, is you have to go explain yourself to God and be Satan, who is like God's prosecutor or the DA, district attorney. I like to use those modern terms because I think they're fun. And sit down with your book of life and say, hey, you really fucked up. So now you are going to have yourself purified, and I call it the soul washing machine. It's not eternal conscious torment, but it is a term of purification to get rid of the harem, the banned part irrevocably.
All right, so Bert, I'm going to go ahead and read 30 through 34 since 34 is just
I'm not Bert, love.
All tithes from the land, whether the seed from the ground or the fruit from the tree or the Lord's, they are holy to the Lord. If persons wish to redeem any of their tithes, they must add on 1/5 to them. All tithes of herd and flock, every 10th one that passes under the shepherd's staff, shall be holy to the Lord. Let no one inquire whether it is good or bad, or make substitution for it. If one makes substitution for it, then both it and the substitute shall be holy and cannot be redeemed. These are the commandments that the Lord gave to Moses for the people of Israel on Mount Sinai. So what it's saying is, like, every 10th of something that I grow or my flock or anything, that is something I need to tithe. But that tithing was to, like, I'm asking, obviously, is to go to help the orphans and the widows and stuff, right?
It is absolutely to help feed orphans, widows, the priests. That is, and we still do that as Jews now. We have a 10th that we give, whether it is, well, we don't talk about it. Like, we may be giving a 10th of our salary to charity. We may be doing it to our neighbors, whatever. That we are still asked to tithe a 10th. Now, what's interesting is that you can actually buy back, like, hey, I'm supposed to take this grain and fruit to donate it, this 10th of it, but I don't want to donate it because, for what insert reason here, you can say, I know what this is worth. I have to add a 20% amount of shekel to keep it.
So the idea, though, of tithe, and that you have to tithe cash, and it has to go to the church, and then the church literally doesn't feed anybody or take
Yep.
care of orphans or widows, and the church, that is a modern Christian Day thing, right? Like that's not biblical.
Well, and part of it is born out of the Catholic Church. Just a side note, the Catholic Church didn't always require priests to be celibate. The Catholic Church allowed priests to be married for a very long time until they realized if priests had to be celibate, then all of their worldly goods came to the church. They didn't have to share anything with their spouses, their children, their family. So once they caught on to, wait a minute, the priests who have been getting married, they require a amount of money to take care of their wives, to take care of their children. And their inheritance from their families, they get to keep. But if we say the celibacy is this devotion to God, then all of their inheritance goes to the church.
Wow.
So Pope Valentine III said, no more popes getting married. Or no more priests getting married. Sorry, no more popes. Yeah, no more priests getting married. Not that they still didn't have children illegitimately. There's huge, I mean, you can study this. You know, priests and popes all over for eons and eons have had illegitimate children, and a lot of them they claimed. They said, yes, these are my children, especially in the, 11th, 12th, 13th century.
Wow.
But yes, the tithe is supposed to be you give a tenth a portion of anything you have. If you don't want to give it, then you have to pay a penalty of 20% of what it's worth.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for all that. You guys, we're finally in numbers. I know, it's because...
Welcome to Baptist Arms. And it, by the way, is boring as fuck.
I kind of get a little heads up of what I'm getting into because of Joel Reed's Bible, because he's ahead of me. And so, listening to him, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to get.
Yeah, you learn more about the priests, Eleazar, things like that, but it's a boring book, unfortunately.
Well, maybe one day we'll get to some of those, warring books and stuff. And get
The good ones, yeah.
Some of that. Yeah.
I want to thank you for letting me join you. I do need to step down because I have to get ready. I'm going out with my wife, so I got to go and do all this stuff to get ready. But I'm so glad I could be here too. Do you pay the 20% or the value plus 20%? The value plus 20%. So the 10% plus the 20%.
Well, thank you so much for being here, you guys. Big W in the chat for Rabbi.
Thank you.
Hannah,
I am so
as
happy
always.
I was able to join you.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. You guys, that is today's non-believers Bible study. I will be back live tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific time. You guys, I don't even get out of bed at 8 o'clock, but I'm going to do it tomorrow because Matthew is going to be joining me live for Decon Q&A with CrystalJae Friday at 11 a.m. I will be live with Deconstruction I always want to call him the name of our Discord. Deconstruction Zone Justin. So he will be joining me on Friday, and on Sunday I have Jay Gilmore. You might also know him as Javarius. He will be my guest Sunday right after Atheist Sunday School with Mezzo. We start at 11 a.m. and he finishes up around then sometime. So after you get done with Sunday School, come over and join me. Yay, I hope you are here. And don't forget, you guys get to come up and ask these people the questions, okay? So have your questions ready. If you're too shy to come up, have some questions ready to ask.